need. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss, see. I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Till until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want and I see, matter of fact. Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to My Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and let's get the show started. I feel like shit. my freaking bones hurt. My body hurts. Like I don't know what's going on, but all like certain parts of my body have been really hurting. You guys know about my neck, my back, my knee. But we're going to be adding a little bit more to it. It seems like my shoulders are hurting, especially my right shoulder. Oh my God, it hurts so much. And all throughout my body, it's just really achy. A lot of pain, a lot of like weird pains that I didn't have before. But all of a sudden, after the Super Bowl and after I criticized Bad Bunny with his bullshit, I come down with a lot of freaking pain. And just achy, like super, super achy. And I wasn't feeling like this. And all of a sudden, it's just started. And I'm not liking it. So I'm going to try to keep the show to about 2 hours, hopefully. But let's go ahead. And if we're going to do that, we got to go straight to it. We're going to start off with Melody King. So let's get right to it.
40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
and
Okay.
we invited you in.
Gentlemen.
This guy has Trump derangement syndrome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Behind me.
Damn.
So in the latest episode of Bread and Circus,
Hey, what's up, Terry?
now Congress is holding a hearing with grilling
Yeah,
Pam
man, my
Bondi
body's
about
leaky,
the
man.
redactions and the lies and all
Didn't
of
check
this. But
the
guys, let me
weather or
just tell you,
anything,
if you
but-
are still thinking this is left versus right, Democrat versus Republican, you are still in the matrix. You are still under deception. This is not what it is. I do not believe for a second none of these people knew and they're all surprised and now they need to have this hearing because what now we need to do this? I mean, even in the comments, somebody said, I appreciate Massey going after this, but I'm flummoxed why he wasn't so aggressive under 4 previous administrations. Well, we know
Damn.
why, but guys, there is a lot coming out with this. I want you to watch this whole thing. This is a longer clip, and then I have some more to show you because I have just I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know.
None
I'm
of
in
it
the
makes
clown
sense.
world.
And now I don't know if this is a distraction from,
It is a
other
distraction.
things they're doing. I told you I have some updates that I'm going to do on digital ID and just insane things that are happening behind the scenes that no one's really paying attention to.
Nobody's
They're
talking
not.
about
And
it.
those are the things that, of course, this is very, very important. But will we ever get the truth? No. Will there
Nope.
ever be justice? I do not
Nope.
believe so. I'm sorry. I cannot lie to you. But what I
It's been
do
how
know,
many
what is going to
decades?
affect our day-to-day lives are
Yeah.
the digital ID laws that are rolling out, not only federally, but statewide, as well as the censorship crackdown that's happening. The list goes on and on.
Can't
And
talk
what I
about
think I'm
that.
going to do is, because I'm covering more of like the investigative work of the Epstein files on this channel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually post all of that other stuff on my other channel, Melanie Reacts. I may change the channel name, but
Yeah, I
rest
think
assured, I will
the
put a
name.
link in the description box if you want to subscribe to that channel, because there's so much to cover with that as well. And I don't want it to get lost kind of in translation. So again, if you want that information, go ahead and subscribe to my other channel. The link will be below, but I will let you guys know when that goes up today. But let's get into this very important hearing where, they're finally getting to the truth.
I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email.
But
in the
you
document
wanted
production.
good
Literally,
information.
the worst thing you could do to the survivors.
Damn
you
if
did.
you do, damn if you don't.
And they're getting
You're always
phone
gonna be
calls. A
damned,
lot of these
no matter
people
what.
didn't want to be known. And we know you touched
So-
the document because you
Now
redacted
they're like,
one
"Oh,
name.
you should
And
have
you redacted
this
the
one.
lawyer's
This
name,
one
but you
said
left
no."
the survivor's name there. The next
Stupid.
document I want to show you,
It's stupid.
and
I
that
live
was
in
in
a
the
fucking
title,
stupid
the
world.
victims'
I don't
survivors'
know. I
names,
feel like
right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking. Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a
I forced you to
co-conspirator,
release it.
not to tax evasion,
Yeah,
but to
I wanted
child
to release
sex
it. I didn't want you to
trafficking,
release all
not to
of it.
prostitution, not to
Not
money laundering,
prostitution.
child sex trafficking.
Not anything to do with Bill Clinton.
And then
No, I
finally,
didn't want
what we
that.
have
I wanted
here,
all about Trump.
the third
All about
exhibit
Trump.
that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release.
I'm so
These
tired
are
of
the
this fucking-
documents
I'm
that
tired
we
of this world.
need, that you're holding on to and
Yeah.
over-redacting
The day I
because they
die, that's
have
the
the
day the
names
world is
of the
gonna die.
men who are implicated. How
I'll
do
tell
we
you right
know?
now.
Because the
Well,
survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files
Like,
you've
make up
pulled
your
down from the
motherfucking
website
mind.
that we will never see
These
because we
Democrats, I'm
can't
so
search the
confused on them. That's all
redactions.
they know how to do is
So
bitch and whine.
I have several questions for
Damn
you.
if you do,
Who's
damn if you
responsible?
don't.
Are
No
you
matter
able to
what, you're gonna
track
be damned.
who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that
you
obscured
released the
Les
victims'
Wexner's
names.
name as
No.
a co-conspirator in an
You guys
FBI
make zero
document?
sense.
Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that.
Can I
This is
fin-
where he's listed
Can
as a
I finish
co-conspirator.
my answer?
Damn.
Let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my
I'm
time.
going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
He was,
Mr.
this
Chairman.
isn't how this works.
Can I have my time
He
back?
was,
Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to
Yeah,
the gentleman.
let her answer.
I'm reclaiming my
Can I give
time.
my answer?
So
Yes.
I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman,
I
may I
have
give
another
my
question.
answer on that?
Yeah.
It's
Here's
a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer
Yep.
on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next
Chairman, it's
question.
my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You
Within
can-
Wait. What'd she say? Hold on.
I don't know.
Chairman,
I
may I
have
give my
another
answer
question.
on that?
If-
Here's
It's a political
the question.
joke, and I need to give my answer
Yep.
on that.
We'll let the attorney.
Sorry, that moved around. Did she say this is a political show or a political joke?
Political joke.
I mean, I agree with that statement
Political joke.
because Thomas Massey said that if he knows all the names now, and that if they
But how you doing, Terry?
that if he were to
I
reveal
know
it
it's
all,
fucking
it would
shitty outside,
topple the
man. I
government.
know you
Pam
feel
Bondi
like
has
shit.
said
I
that
feel
as
like
well.
shit. So I know you feel. And
So again,
I know Kayla feel
why
like shit
aren't
too.
they just releasing them all? Like, why he knows them all? He just gave us
It
a
just sucks,
couple of like
you know?
6 names extra, when the redactions are absolutely outrageous. I mean, hundreds, if not thousands, of names have been redacted of people who are directly. These are not victims, and even though they've released the victim's name, but they haven't released all of that. Why isn't anyone just straight up just saying it? Why do we need all this? Why isn't it just put out there? And again, I will say this: no other administration put these names out.
Nope.
They've been sitting on this for forever.
Yep.
I've shown you. None of it makes sense. The day the day after Jeffrey Epstein reported to jail for his first conviction, reported to prison, he won the Powerball for $85 million. And no one in Congress knew. None of our congressmen or senators
Nobody talk about
knew a
that.
thing. None of that. Joe Biden didn't know anything.
Nope.
Trump didn't know anything.
Nope.
No one had a
Nobody.
clue. Really? Are we really in that place still? But again, take
Yeah,
it
they
with a
wanna
grain
play
of salt.
stupid.
But was that a Freudian slip that this is a political show? I don't know. I just had to, clarify that.
It's a
The
political
gentleman respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next
Chairman, it's
question.
my time.
Within 40
Chairman.
minutes, you asked me a question.
You can
Within
give me-
40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes
You
of
ha-
me catching you red-handed,
Red-handed.
Can she answer?
There was one redaction out
where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
Okay.
and we invited
You know what?
you
Show
in.
the video.
This
Show
guy has Trump
Gentlemen.
derangement syndrome. He needs
Show
to
the
get.
video.
You're a failed
He won't.
politician.
Gentlemen,
You need to
time
get
I
on
want you to
belongs
watch
these
the
matters.
video.
Mr. Chairman,
Give
please
yourself
restore his
time.
time and remind the witness of the
Himself,
rules here.
there is
Time.
no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked 2 other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any
Remember, we call them
victim who
demon
comes
rats.
forward,
They're
of
demon
course,
rats.
we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I am
with
reclaiming
all
my
the
time.
last
I'm
4
glad you're
years?
asking about Merrick Garland.
You can reclaim
the
time
rest
when
when I
you
go.
bigger
don't.
than
when you-
Watergate.
When I don't
This
answer
is
the
cutting her
question the
off.
This
way you
goes
want.
over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion
And,
of it.
and that's
Now,
your
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not. And it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has
Which
expired.
may she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman,
I would,
order.
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering,
The gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
Good grief.
It's a fucking
Good
it's
grief.
horrible. Our government
So,
is a
and
shit
again, I
show.
have no love, allegiance for any of these people. The representative Jayapal, she is very problematic. They all are, but take this as a grain of salt in this moment because when she said we met with all the victims and they've come forward, all the things that were said. But listen to this. This is wild. This is why. I mean, this is base case what should have been done.
To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand.
I
And
wonder how
if
they
you
got
are
all the white
willing,
shirts.
please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice. Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand. Attorney General Bond.
Again, none of these people cared about this under the 4 previous administrations, but now it's an emergency to put this out. It's how come you
And
guys
it's
didn't
Ted
meet with them?
Bundy's
Again, I
fault.
believe this is to score political points, but I do believe right now, I'm not sure what is happening right now. In particular, there's a lot of clownery on the left. I could go on forever about it, but then I'm not sure if what's happening with the Republicans right now, if they just really want to lose the midterms. But then also they said we're not going to have to vote again. I told you the new world order is being ushered in. I want to play for you what Mike Johnson had to say. But of course, guys, I want to show you this really quickly. As you guys know, I'm getting censored all over the place, demonetized. Even just yesterday, 2 videos were struck. One was actually banned. I had to take this VH1 clip that's like a documentary out. Wasn't even saying anything crazy. In fact, it was this glowing piece about Jeffrey Epstein and his ties to Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Kevin Spacey and how he's rich and he's so sexy. And he bought when he moved to New York, that he actually bought a school to turn into a home for himself. Like, guys, it's disgusting on every level. But I thought it was fitting. If you want to support me, you can go over to realmelanieking.com. The link will be below, as well as other ways if you want to do
I love that
directly through
mug.
Cash App or PayPal to support the work that we're doing, because you know they're going to censor the truth. But if you don't
Yeah,
just
they
lap up
censored
the
they censored
media
my channel.
slop, if you the mainstream narrative, well, you're going to get hit. Right. And I
You
don't.
know, let me pause her. I don't like to pause her so much, but let me bring it to me here. I know the censorship is going on very strong on YouTube, and how I know is because I've been putting up some shorts, right? Because I'm putting up the Pokemon shorts, and for some reason I put up a video last night before I went to sleep. And then when I woke up this morning, and we're talking about a good how many hours? Hold on, I even took a screenshot of it. That's how crazy it was because none of my Pokemon videos never gets below a certain amount. Like especially once I put it like before I go to sleep, I usually get like over 100, 200, 300 views easily. I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning 5 hours later. I only had 3 views. Three, three, 3 views in 5 hours. In 5 hours, only 3 views. I call bullshit on YouTube. And I'm at the point that I'm going to be making decisions, very important decisions soon. Will I continue with YouTube? That's going to be on the fence. I don't know if I would go to Rumble. I don't like the way Rumble how they have it set up. I mean, I don't know if it's changed much of anything because I'm not with Rumble. But I'm not liking what YouTube is doing, especially when you're uploading these shorts or even videos and you're not getting no attention. It's like they purposefully down the algorithm for certain individuals if they're talking about certain things, especially against the left. If you're against the left, your channel ain't doing that well. It just seems like they try to censor the shit out of you and put you low, so that way you get no attention. I was like, it's okay. In due time, you know, because it's like I don't need to be on their platform and more than they need me on their platform, because I could take my shit and go somewhere else and I'll be fine no matter what. Or I could just quit entirely and I'll still be fine. I'll even be much better if I did, because I wouldn't be wasting my time. But I like to do this because I want us to get informed, and knowing is half the battle. And I want you guys to see what I see on a daily basis. So let's go ahead and continue with Melody King.
Mike Johnson just said, I find this absolutely wild and very damaging during this very sensitive time.
All right. Number 5, national security concerns. Okay. The discharge requires the Attorney General to release within 30 days, quote, classified information to the maximum extent possible. This ignores the principle that declassification should always rest, and always has rested, with the agency that originated the intelligence. Why? So that they can protect their critical sources and methods. It is incredibly dangerous to demand that officials or employees of the DOJ declassify materials that originated in other agencies and intelligence agencies.
Are you getting what he's saying? He is saying, he stated that the Epstein files should remain redacted. He argues that they contain material from intelligence agencies, which in his view raises legitimate national security concerns. Who's coming to save you? Who's coming to save us, guys? The Bible tells us in these last days, this is what it will be. We are now seeing this world is not getting better. There's no government, no party, no politician. Nobody's coming to save us. And I just want to know, all of Hollywood is quiet about it. Yeah, they wanted to get up on the Grammys and talk about ICE. This is right after this second dump of the Epstein files. But no, ICE was the thing they wanted to talk about. Like I said, it's bread and circus everywhere you look, left, right, down the middle. We are in dark times. We are in very dark times. Look at this.
A long time.
Former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is so ridiculous, and that they are trying to deflect from all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one that asked that those files.
I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock. Stop the clock.
the legislation. This is
Time.
this is
Like,
ridiculous.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center, because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
I believe you just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center. He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone.
But that's hearsay.
He was so angry. He was
that's not
hurt Donald Trump.
How is that evidence?
And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
That's
she later
bullshit.
had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one.
Man, these Democrats, man, they're dirty.
Interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell. So should the men who patronize his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims.
There's no
and you have not
accountability,
held
man.
a single man accountable.
This is
Shame
just a waste of
on you.
taxpayer
If you
money, you know that, right?
you would resign right
It's
after
all,
this hearing
Time of the
concludes.
gentleman has expired.
Good grief. Representative Liu didn't care about this under Biden. Do you get what I'm saying here? It's, you know, I just feel like everything is to make it bipartisan, to throw things left and right. And I will say, under Trump, we are getting the most information we've ever gotten about Epstein. There are some things that are FBI tips that people have disproved, but I don't know. But I do know for sure that right now, this is just, I don't know. Do you get what I'm saying here? Like, yes, this is the most transparent, but then these people who are so outraged, congressmen, they really had no idea. They didn't bring up any of this stuff that they've had for years, decades at this point before. Everything remembered on the campaign, Trump was a Nazi, this, that, and the other. Why would they not? Why would Kamala Harris, who was all about women's rights, not bring this up, not give a hoot about any type of formal thing or if she would be, indicted thing? Because what are they doing? They're all playing games.
Yeah,
Are
they're
these
trying
good
to protect
questions?
themselves.
Yes. But why haven't they been asked before? And I will continue to beat that drum because I need you to open your eyes. I don't think we have ever in our history, in our lifetimes, seen transparently how much of this is actually a political show and they are using victims as pawns in their games.
Yep. They're using the people
It's just
against.
not making any sense to me. But look at this. This is another exchange that they had.
Because you gotta understand, Melody, I'm gonna stop you for a second here, but and bring back to me. Like, they're little victims. They had their little victims, they had their little white shirts, and they had a little I guess it said victim or something on it, and they were all with their little white shirts. You think those 10, 15 ladies that were there, do you think those were the only victims? Do you believe in 4 decades, only these little whatever do you want to call them, that they're here, that we didn't get to speak to Pat Bondi about anything? You believe you're the only victims? Okay, let's keep it moving.
The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an
But what
investigation
crime?
against former Prince
Someone on the
Andrew.
floor
So I
and
ask you,
on top of her?
Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not
It doesn't make
prosecuted
any sense because
former
he's not even
Prince
American.
Andrew?
He's British.
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and set before.
I agree with you.
You
I've been
twice.
claiming my time.
Never
I agree with you. I agree with you. During
Did
the
you not hear
during the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr. As did
Yeah, and now you want to put it all on Bondi.
But you are in charge. You have the power to change
You
things,
see?
to hold these men
Now
accountable.
you're in charge.
And you're
Now
doing
you
the
get all the
opposite.
brunt
You're
of the
protecting them.
punishment.
And you've protected them too. They all have. Well, you called for this. This was, y'all could have campaigned on this and Kamala would have won. What? Not a word, not a whisper of any of it. Isn't this all convenient right now? Isn't it something? Are you seeing? I'm very, very confused. Well, I'm not confused. I know this is what it's supposed to be. These are the games they've always played.
Oh yeah, that's
We can now just
what a
see it.
fucking that.
Listen
that
to
was
this one of these answers. I mean, it's just absolute lunacy, derangement.
The Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan?
Committee.
We're in the upside down, guys. Like I
Yep.
told you, we're in the last
I've
days.
been saying we were in the
This
upside
is-
down for the longest.
Huh?
Don't
What?
don't come on,
What do
Melody.
Are they setting up Pam Bondi to be the fall person?
Yeah,
I have
that's what
some
they're
more
trying to
information
do.
about Pam Bondi and who she's very close to, who is in the Epstein files. I'm probably not going to cover it in this video. Stay tuned for that. But just listen to what Representative Lauren Boebert had to say.
There are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means. But some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things.
Remember, I reported to you guys about the Cannibal restaurant, about Jeffrey Epstein and he only ate jerky. I mean, this is literally in the files. They said his girlfriend was saying, well, maybe at some point he'll start eating regular food again. Hundreds of times they're talking about jerky. We really want to believe that? Like it was in different people's homes when he traveled. They would FedEx it to him and say, can you bring the jerky? Epstein will be here at this time. And I mean, giving instructions, getting recipes, holding a cooking class with the Cannibal restaurant for this jerky. I would prefer if Lauren Boebert asked questions about this, because we are dealing with the darkest of dark things. But no, guys, yes, this is the most transparent things have been. I want to make that clear. But no other administration released all this information before. Why? I just did a video with, now suddenly they're admitting that an FBI agent deleted footage completely from the night of Jeffrey Epstein's self-deletion. Then on top of that, they're saying that the guards, they put boxes and sheets over a gurney to fake out the media, to make it look like a human body, boxes with just a sheet draped over, so that they would think that that was it. But no, they transported him in a separate vehicle and all this other. So now they're finding missing footage for the first time, and now they're reanalyzing. I mean, the media is complicit in this whole thing. They all are. I'm not saying every single person. I don't, but I would. Who said it? 90, was it Thomas Massey or someone said that 98, if the truth came out, 98% of actually Julian Assange originally with WikiLeaks, who released Pizzagate, because that's never still been investigated. Oh, now they're going to bring the Clintons before Congress. None of these people cared about Pizzagate. They were all clamoring to debunk it. So was the mainstream media.
They were saying it was fake news
during that time. Made everybody like they're crazy conspiracy theorists.
Conspiracy theory. Yep.
Even Savannah Guthrie, whose mother is missing, her husband, I don't, you don't know this, for decades, he was the fixer for the Clintons. Yes. Mentioned in the Epstein files, but he was the fixer for the Clintons, right? Meaning to scrub any type of dirt and things like that on the internet. Suddenly her mother is kidnapped in this very bizarre thing, repeating lines from Silence of the Lambs verbatim in this hostage video. Very weird things people are finding out, right? Because somebody wants to kidnap Savannah Guthrie's 80-something-year-old sickly mother. And the news is just talking about that mostly. You know, distraction. But in an interview, when Trump was running for president the first time, it was like a town hall. She was so nasty, so grotesque, talking about QAnon and their Pizzagate and all this other stuff, knowing her husband is a fixer for the Clintons. Guys, it's a mess. You can only rely on the word of God. You can only rely on those who speak the true word of God. And I want you to know, below, I also have links to the Bible and the Apocrypha that you need to get, because you're going to need to have hard copies, because we learned from the WEF they plan to replace all religions with AI, any religions that are based on text. We are seeing a banning of certain text out of the Bible in Canada, in Nicaragua. The Bible is no longer allowed to be brought in the country, and we're seeing this all over, guys. These are the days that we're in. But I will continue to cover this. And again, I want to say I'm going to be covering those other things on my other channel, Melanie.
And that's great, Melody. We're going to be sticking tabs on that. We're going to be paying attention, and we will definitely be watching, because Melody does a great job reporting and giving out the tea, and I like it lukewarm. But there's so much stuff going on. It's just so overwhelming with the amount of shit that's going on. It can be, and it feels like end of days. You know, it feels like the end of days is upon us. I always felt like something big supposed to happen, that is supposed to feel like the end of the days, but it's I don't know. If you say too much, then you get censored no matter what. And I've been through a lot of censorship here on YouTube, and you can't really speak the truth, you know, because if you speak the truth, they'll start fucking around. They'll mess with the computer. They mess with the sound. They always interfere within my show. It used to happen a lot back then, and it still happens today. I don't know. I hope you guys are ready for what's to come, because it's going to get really dark. And make sure you have plenty of flashlight and wood. I say wood because you could cook outside. You can stay warm with it. But wood is very versatile. Okay, let's keep it moving. Up next, Jason A. All right, let's check it out. Put up the sound here. If it lets me. See, they're already messing around.
But to do something like this, threaten a 10-day shutdown of a major airport is again not only but very unusual.
Now to breaking news. Action News has just learned all flights to and from El Paso, Texas are back to normal. That's after the FAA abruptly closed El Paso airspace for 10 days because of security concerns, but has since issued a statement that the closure has been lifted.
The FAA shutting all airspace over El Paso, Texas for the next 10 days for unspecified security reasons, warning any planes violating can be shot down. Closing airspace over a major U.S. city for this reason is very rare and has not happened since after 9/11.
It comes hours after they said they were stopping all flights for 10 days. An administration official tells ABC News Mexican cartel drones breached U.S. airspace and the Pentagon took action to disable them.
It means they have found something in El Paso, in the area, that is a threat that's going to take them at least 10 days to try to ferret out and neutralize. This ain't minor. I mean, I just can't get it. This is not a broken wire in an air traffic control system. This is something where there is something on the ground in El Paso right now today that is geared to shooting down or destroying airplanes. I mean, that they wouldn't ground them otherwise. Let's put that right on the line here. But to say there isn't anything to it, I was just amazed at what that congresswoman said. It was just very inept. We have a problem.
Well, first of all, it's unprecedented, and secondly, it's really strange in every possible particular. You see, the airspace over the United States, all aspects of it, is a massive cooperation enterprise, and you don't just turn around and turn that off unless you have a really good reason. And basically, Terry, the FAA's got a lot of explaining to do.
This is a shocker. It really is a complete shock. To close the airport down for 10 days, that's incredible. Never experienced anything. think
I
I've
don't think
ever
that's
read
ever happened.
any airport in the United States in the world.
I
that's been
mean,
shut
they
down
did
for
shut
10
down
days.
for 9/11.
Others did more.
But I don't think it
Now,
took
there's
10
no
days.
question that if we really got a national security situation and it's genuine, then obviously the FAA is the agency to shut everything down. But we don't see it here, and we didn't have any explanation, and it was unprecedented in terms of the amount of time that elapsed between the supposed onset of this problem and the then reversal.
And as I checked in my luggage, they informed me that all flights were canceled. And at first, I thought it was a hoax. And but no, she assured me that that was the case, and she even got her supervisor to come out. She had questions as well because it just came down, and she was a little confused as well. So she got her supervisor, and she confirmed as well that all flights are canceled, and just in shock, trying to figure out what's going on. They don't really have any answers, but it's a developing story, as you said.
So you would have to fly at
we'll just
least.
wait and see.
Closest would
So
be
you
what,
didn't hear
San
until you
Antonio.
got here. Did you get anything from Southwest beforehand?
Nothing. I did not hear until I checked in my luggage.
rent a car.
And she had just got it a few minutes prior to that, and we were all just kind of looking at each other in shock, and again, wondering if it was a hoax or whatever the case. But unfortunately, it's not.
Cartel drones in the airspace at the border.
Well, it certainly is not unprecedented to have concerns about cartels and using aircraft of any sort, and drones included. But to have this all of a sudden talk about or lead to, I should say, a 10-day shutdown of a major airport, I simply don't understand where A connects to B here. That's one of the things that needs to be explained.
You cannot restrict airspace over a major city without coordinating with the city, the airport, the hospitals, the community leadership.
You got to tell everybody.
That failure to communicate is unacceptable.
FAA is saying special security reasons, but they're not
They close the
elaborating.
airport. You have to
The
let
interesting
everybody
thing is
know.
this is
The
in the
hospital,
vicinity of
the
Fort
babysitter
Bliss
that's taking care of the
and
kids.
also the Biggs
You gotta,
Field,
like,
which are both military installations.
everyone, we need to
and
know.
the duration, we're talking 10 days. Normally, TFRs, temporary flight restrictions, could
They
be
did it for a
hours, could be a
reason.
day, could be 2 days if it's for VIPs. But it's unprecedented for a 10-day temporary flight restriction from the surface up to 18,000
All the
feet and a
aliens are gonna
10-mile
come.
radius. If it was like a spaceship launch or something like that, or something going up to space, that would be unlimited. But there's a cap at 18. But 18,000 feet itself is very, very high for a temporary flight restriction. So it's definitely something big, like a national security event, a very high-level VIP. But the interesting thing is that on the Mexican side of the border, there's no flight restriction. So that would lead me to believe that whatever is happening is not in conjunction with the Mexican government.
Interesting.
Because if it was that airspace on the other side, probably the Mexican government probably would issue some kind of warning or restriction. We don't see that.
Very
but I think it's safe to say it's something very big, either from a national security standpoint or perhaps testing something.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, let's just circle back to that conversation you just shared with us with your source at the FAA. You said you were able to make contact with a source at the FAA. You asked, what's going on here? And this person said, even I don't know, not because I can't share it with you, but because I don't know yet.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this isn't a source. They put the phone number for what they call the SOCS on the advisory. So I just called that number and identified myself as a journalist, and that was the answer I got, which was, obviously kind of unnerving in and of itself.
I doubt it's air traffic control. If that was the issue, they would move somebody from another facility anywhere in the country. That's not really very busy airspace. It's not like New York or Philadelphia or Los Angeles. It could very easily be staffed. So I do not think it's air traffic control, but it's definitely something very big happening. Either that or testing something that's going into the air, I would suspect.
Tonight, two newly released pieces of alleged U.S. military footage are sparking a lot of fresh questions about unidentified objects in the sky. So the videos were said to be obtained from military archives and released to the public by investigative journalists Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. They say both recordings show government-filmed objects that were officially designated as UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomena, and they weren't meant to be seen by the public. Now, both videos were recorded by MQ-9 Reaper drones, and both show objects making movements that Corbell says defy basic physics. The first video dates back to August of 2012. It's recorded over the Persian Gulf using infrared sensors. It shows 3 objects moving in what appears to be a triangular formation, and at one point, one of the objects falls back, and it suddenly accelerates forward again, kind of like in a slingshot motion to rejoin the other 2. Weird. The second video, more recent, 2021, recorded during a U.S. drone mission over southern Syria. And in this footage, you have a single object that's tracked by a weapons-grade targeting system. Now, it moves steadily at first, then suddenly changes direction, accelerates out of frame at what analysts describe as extreme speed. There's no visible propulsion. News Nation has not independently verified the authenticity of these videos. The Pentagon has not confirmed them or even commented. But what are we actually seeing in these videos? Nick Pope's here, investigated UAPs for the UK Ministry of Defense. Nick, good to see you. These the real deal?
Yes, I think so. Jeremy and George, the journalists concerned, have a proven track record of getting authentic Pentagon footage into the public domain. And when you see these sorts of things just move in a straight line at a constant speed, sure, you can say balloons, birds. But as you said in your intro, the Pentagon itself put this into the UAP category, unidentified anomalous phenomena. And that's what we're looking at.
Okay, let me ask you the $1 million question. Is this a piece of technology, advanced technology? I mean, we're talking about 2012, we're talking about 2021, or is this something else? Is this from outer, extraterrestrial?
As much as I'd love to believe that it was extraterrestrial, Occam's razor states that the simplest and most likely explanation is usually the correct one. These were Middle East videos in one of the most crowded areas of sky when it comes to cutting edge aerospace technology, aircraft, drones. The United States has a lot there because the US is there. China and Russia are probably there spying on them. Iran is there too. So my best estimate has got to be this is our own terrestrial tech.
Well, I mean, they are sensitive military regions, could be of interest if it wasn't human made. I mean, but that's the question. Have you seen technology like this that it could do something like this? No propulsion?
Well, we can't tell that much just by looking at the videos themselves. Behind the scenes, there's probably more analysis that's been done by intelligence community imagery analysts, and that's probably classified. But, there are things flying out there that will not be public knowledge for 10, 15, 20 years after the event. So there's a lot of spooky stuff flying right now.
It's a good, I think that was a pun, but I like that. But let me ask you a question. Do you think that it wasn't meant for the public to see? Was it not meant for the public to see because of the sensitive military technology? I mean, Jeremy Corbell says the footage came from intelligence archives. You tell me, is that what we're dealing with, that they were concerned that this could compromise us?
Well, I think Jeremy and George are both very careful that they follow the law in this, as are the people concerned who gave them the videos. That being said, I know a lot of people in the military who see these sorts of things and are aware of them, are very frustrated at what they see as the slow pace of UAP disclosure. And so, Jeremy and George often are a kind of conduit for getting this material out. So let's have a wider debate about it. Let's get Congress looking at it. Let's get other media outlets looking at it. And let's get a kind of brains trust of experts trying to figure out what we're looking at here.
I know, right? Because we need to know what we're looking at, because everything is so weird. Like, everything very secretive. I feel like the problem that humanity has now is transparency. The fact that we're able to be transparent, we have the internet, which I believe is an alien technology that we intercepted, and now we use it on a daily basis because they released it out to the masses, which I don't believe it should have been released to the masses, but hey, that's another story. But we have it, and I feel like they know, those that are out there, they know that we're communicating with their system, because I'm sure they could pick up on the feed of all of us communicating, and anything connected to the internet can be manipulated. That's the truth. And all right, let's go ahead and check this story out.
Back to our top story in the search for Nancy Guthrie. Could images recovered from her doorbell camera break the case wide open? Former Detective Morgan White is a cybersecurity expert, founder of the National Center for Open and Unsolved Cases. Morgan, good to have you with us this afternoon. So a lot of tips coming in. We understand that the FBI phone has been ringing off the hook. Last night, it led to the brief detainment of a man named Carlos Palazuelos in Rio Rico, which is some distance south of Tucson. Here's what he said when our correspondent Matt Finn caught up with him.
I felt like I was being kidnapped, bro, because they didn't tell me anything at the beginning. Until right now, all I know is that they show my in-law a picture of somebody wearing a mask or something, and they supposedly look like my eyes.
Right. Okay.
That's it. That's all I know.
So again, he was detained, he was questioned, he was eventually released, but it's an indication that the FBI and the local police are not leaving any stone unturned as they chase down these leads.
Yeah, that's not the guy.
John, you know what this is? It's a data point, obviously not a conclusion, but you would expect them to at least, I don't want to say just do something, but they did follow something that appeared to be credible. I don't think they're going to go out and do something that jeopardizes the integrity investigation, or say, well, you guys got, you got somebody who's 5'2" and 300 pounds. That would have been a total, complete one-off. So I think they're doing this, but I think that what you do is like with Carlos and stuff, it tells you still three things that will help solve this case or identify. It's about time constraints. It's about technology, finding, there's some additional digital forensics out there and evidence, and then behaviors, looking at the behaviors of people during the crime and then post-crime, who's acting quite differently than they were before the crime, that maybe has a nexus to this or fits.
That's not in the recovered video. Listen here.
We were able to execute lawful searches and go to these private sector companies and expedite results, and then go into their systems and actually excavate material that people would think would normally be deleted and no one would look for. Thanks to this brilliant partnership, we were able to get it out, sharpen it with our technical.
Time out. I hate pausing things, but listen, this is my first joint, and I'm already feeling good. This medicine's pretty good medicine, but supposedly, right, this Nest camera, she didn't have a subscription, so it still recorded the door and probably the devices inside the home and from the backyard too, right? It recorded that. That's a separate issue on its own. That's a big monster issue. You think this you think this lady and her being lost or kidnapped is the story? The bigger story is that Ring camera recording without a subscription. That is a huge, big story. And not only that, recording and hearing everything that's going on. I don't know. What you guys think about that? It's fucking crazy. That's my biggest concern. I hope they find the lady, dead or alive. But I would like to know about these cameras and how you guys were able to tap in and get the videos, and not only that, but they have so much other informations too that they're not releasing. And the fact that it took them this amount, this is into the second week, and now is when the videos and pictures are coming out, like a whole week later. I talked about this yesterday. It was just, and all of a sudden now you give us these videos, and then like, okay, but there's more. Why are you just giving me crumbs if I want the whole fucking cookie? Give me the fucking cookie. I don't want the crumbs. Give me these little, and like, oh, Go chase that? No. Give me the motherfucking dish. I want the whole fucking. I want the whole platter. I want the whole motherfucking platter. Drop it. You end up like the big rat from the rat we were talking about yesterday from New York, and from The Princess Bride. The big ass rat. Oh Lord. All right, let's go back and listen to the story because we still got a lot more to watch. So I'm having a good night. I'm having fun.
Look at an aerial shot. This is from our drone of FBI agents walking the roadway. Looks like they're looking to the side for anything that might have been thrown out of a car. There may be more video on the way. Morgan, I guess there were more cameras at the Guthrie house. And maybe those back channel storage areas with Google
Probably,
Nest
right?
might bear some fruit, or maybe there's other
Because
cameras.
why the camera was
or
on.
something else
You know what I
along the
mean?
way.
That's why
Maybe
it
give
just
them some
didn't make
clues.
sense to me.
What's your confidence
don't
that we
know.
may see more of this?
Well, I think if you get it out of one camera, there's a high probability you're going to get it out of some of the others. Let me tell you, John, and I think I told you
This
this
just
before.
turned
26
into
years
like
ago, I
an
trained the
OJ
FBI on
type of
internet
feeling. This
investigations
is like
when the students
OJ
become the
shit.
master.
You know what I mean?
What they did was the equivalent of
It's
taking a
giving me
match,
that OJ
searching in the dark
vibes. Like we're
forest
never
with
gonna
no
find
moonlight
the
to
person
find
who
a
did it.
needle that's hidden out there somewhere. So it was an extreme amount of effort to go to this. But
I tell
if
you
the
that
other
we got
cameras
some
operated
really
the same way, if you
crooked
notice, the
people in
videos
this
aren't very long. They're
country.
like 20 to 30 seconds. A lot of times
And
that
this
is
Nancy
collected by
lady
Google and
was a
Nest
part.
to
Her
train
husband was a
artificial
part of the
intelligence
Obama
to train their
administration,
sensors on. So if it
and he was
captured it
like
from that camera,
the
high
hush guy.
probability it
He's
captured from the
like
other cameras inside
he
the
was the
house.
cleanup
Now I
guy.
say that if they do have that video, this is the video that's going to help break open the case. The other video is going to be really for evidentiary purposes, seeing what happened inside the house or verifying the claims of this, quote, ransom communication. I don't call it a ransom note yet, but communication that talks about the placement of the watch. How would that person know that? Is there any other evidence out there they could have seen? So this is coming together. But the other danger too, John, is we want the FBI to be transparent, but I will tell you from working cases, you want to give the public everything they need to help, but you don't want to give them more, because what happens is you start getting these guys sending in fake Bitcoin or Bitcoin address, say, hey, I know who it is. Give me a Bitcoin and I'll tell you who it is.
All right. Well, as we watch the investigators walking the roads on foot, Morgan, thank you for being with us. We appreciate it.
You bet, John.
All right. Now this.
We must abolish ICE. We must turn off the spigot. We must stop the data collection. We must.
You must stop hitting the microphone.
Our congressional candidate closer to winning the election. How will her anti-ICE message play if she wins?
And the Alec Murdaugh case. Guess what? It's back in the headlines again. Could the guilty plea of a former court clerk help overturn his murder conviction?
Oh Lord. Let's just keep it moving.
Investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie continues this morning after a person of interest who was detained by police yesterday was let go overnight. Joining us live from the US this morning is Jay Arms, the Chief Investigator at Arms International. So what happened, as far as you're aware, with this man who was detained and then let go?
So shortly after the video was released to the public by the FBI, within a matter of hours, an individual was detained in his vehicle. And while he was detained, his mother's home was searched, his home was searched, a storage a unit that he had behind his home was also searched while this man was in custody. And in the United States, depending on the jurisdiction that you're in, law enforcement only has a certain number of hours to detain an individual without charging them with a crime. And in that particular county, in Arizona, it's 48 hours. So during that period that they had to work with, they were doing many, many things simultaneously to try and either identify this person as the suspect or to clear him. And it appears that they cleared him.
Sure. So do you feel like they're getting closer? I mean, yesterday was a day of serious developments, wasn't there? I mean, you had that surveillance video that was finally accessed and then made public. We've all seen that. You've got the $50,000 reward, and the FBI was keen to remind viewers that was there as we take this live picture of Nancy Guthrie's home. Then you've got this gentleman who was detained, at least for a short while. I mean, it feels as though, do you feel like there's momentum in the case?
There is absolute definite momentum in this case. The release of those videos and the fact that they were able to obtain that video is phenomenal. It's a tremendous development in this investigation. It changed everything. It not only provided a ton of information for law enforcement, but it solidified in the minds of the public how serious this was and the sinister nature of this crime.
So what now? I mean, what do? Do they just continue applying pressure? Are there investigative tactics that are being used here at the moment?
Absolutely. That video provided a tremendous amount of forensic information using digital forensics, such as facial recognition, through the pictures. Law enforcement will now be able to determine the person's, possibly his ethnicity, the shape of his skull, the distance between the eyes and the nose and the chin, providing facial biometrics. They can identify his height, estimate his weight, and through a new technology called gait analysis, which is extensively used in China in their social credit system, they will be able to possibly identify an individual just by the way he was walking to and from the camera.
That's extraordinary.
It's amazing. So that little amount of
This
video
is scary.
is a treasure trove of information for law enforcement.
They're just letting it out the bag. Like, look, this is what we're going to be
really
doing.
Appreciate your insights. Thank you so much. We'll chat again soon.
Based on these cameras, you wasn't expecting that, huh? Yeah, it's not all about the person who's been kidnapped. It's more to it. There's more to that story. You know, the camera was freaking me out right now, because they said they had no subscription. Like, there was no subscription. And then all of a sudden they have like coverage, and they were able to see the person. And I don't know, it's just weird shit. It's just weird shit. All right, let's watch another.
Susan Constantine. I'm a human behavior investigator, and today I'm going to show you and talk to you about new released video of the missing Nancy Guthrie case. I analyzed this video, and I'm going to share with you some of the things that really popped out at me. The first thing that I look at as a behavioral analyst is I want to see their actual structure, their body. So I use what we call outside perimeter types of static things that you can't change, like walls or archways, etc., is when the perpetrator or a suspect might be walking through. So the one thing that I noticed is when he was close to the wall, there were like 3 levels of brick that was above his head. So if you were to measure those 3 levels of brick and then where the top of his head was in that area down to the ground will give you a height. So then when I'm looking at proportional measurements from, the upper region to the bottom region, he's definitely higher torsoed or longer torsoed and shorter legged. The other thing that I noticed was what really stood out to me were his eyes. His big brown almond shaped eyes and more manicured type of eyebrows. Now I know that he had the mask that was around it and it was surrounded around it, but still you could see it peeking around outside of the corner. The other thing is to pay attention to is the actual facial structure, the dimensions between each corner of the eye, from eye to eye, and the outside corners. That is something you can't change. So what I like to point out is there are certain things you can change, which is I could shave that beard or that little patch that he had or that little thing that he had underneath his chin. He could very easily shave that off. But you can't change his height, his body structure, and maybe even his shoe size. So now those are the things that I look at. So I set that aside. He's about 5'10", maybe 5'11". He's in good shape, very physically good shape. The other thing is I noticed is his pace, his gait when he was walking in and out. He was a little bit broader in the hip region with a little bit larger thighs. So why is that important? Well, because everybody is designed differently. We have our own body language DNA, how we walk, whether you're pigeon-toed or whether you're bow-legged or one foot that kind of goes out further than the other one. These are characteristics because when they do find a person of interest, these are the things they can measure them by. You measure them by the actual video that you already have. The other big thing is about that backpack. I do not believe that this was a robbery. And the reason being is because the backpack was already full. So if you're going to go in, I mean, just logic will tell you if you're going to go in and you're going to kidnap somebody and also maybe harm them, you're going to have a backpack that's somewhat full, but it's not fully because you're expecting to take things out and put some things in it. And he wasn't doing that. There were no other people that were in that video. So whether there were somebody that was parked out on the street, that could be, we don't know that yet. But generally speaking, in robberies, especially these times, you're going to see them in a cluster. They're going to be a group because they're all assigned to different tasks.
This is going to open the doors for businesses. And I'm just thinking right now out loud. So if you want to take my ideas and run with it, just send me a check down the line. But I see like in the future, right, especially like these neighborhoods in the desert, and they're like out in the boonies pretty much, like in the corner of every of their roads, there would be like a camera, and the camera will pick up on any vehicles and stuff that's coming in or out of the area. Especially if it's a wealthy area, you would like to know who, you know, at least it'll be recorded and it'll be stored on a cloud. So if they ever need to find out, oh shit, who came down this road, they could upload it and they'll know. They'll know. They'll have the tag, they'll look right at the person. You know, maybe the future would be like that with more security, because as much security and cameras that are going up everywhere, like, you think these are stars? No, that's Starlink. That's all this shit back there is all Starlink. Starlinks and satellites and a whole bunch of shit back there. You know, that's all our trash we threw up there. We're talking about, oh my God, we must recycle. We must save the planet. And I look up in the atmosphere where all this bullshit satellites and all this bullshit from decades and decades upon decades of bullshit up there that rains down on a daily basis. I don't know. I mean, this planet is very heavily polluted. Like, we definitely did not take care of this place. If they were to come here and they see, damn, all this fucking garbage in the Pacific, what the fuck is this ring of circle? Like, what this is a patch? What the fuck is this? It's like it's all fucking trash in the middle of the fucking Pacific. And then we got all over the place. We have trash, and people don't really care for themselves anymore. It's like, and then you have all these people fighting in Washington. Like, you know, Pat Bondi just took over the job. She's only been in it for like a year, but she's responsible for like 4 or 5 decades of things that's been happening. Now they want to pin it on her and be like, yeah, let's pin it on her so that way we don't get, like, we do the distraction so the ones back here don't get in trouble. You know, we're just gonna pin it on her and it's her fault. Everything's her fault. So we definitely live in the upside down. I've been telling you guys ever since I died and came back, I've been living in the upside down, and everything I see, you guys are seeing. You're seeing what I'm seeing, and it gives me more confirmation. All right, let's see what else we have here. Huh. All right, let's add this here. Let's go ahead and watch this.
Pima County receiving some 4,000 calls just in the last 24 hours. That totals up to about 18,000 of calls they've received, potentially trying to assist some of the public in this. And FBI on the ground there is potentially looking into new leads around this as they're canvassing the area. And potentially they could also have found some new information. Fox News on social media talking about a black glove being found along the road near Nancy Guthrie's home. Officers were seen removing the glove from a brush.
Still probably a reporter's glove.
And notably, the FBI surveillance showed an individual wearing gloves, a ski mask, a long shirt. And
Yeah, but that glove could be a reporter that was out there.
Another breakthrough for all of this, and this comes after
that glove
detained last night.
I don't think it means anything.
Today, TMZ received another email from somebody demanding money, this time claiming it has information about Nancy Guthrie's kidnapper and attempt to contact the victim's children. So very interesting. Let's take you out to this. Harvey Levin was on Fox News earlier on today with that. Speaking to that, let's play this out for you.
Original letter. You did not receive a second letter where another affiliate did. So by my count, that's 2 letters. And you now report that TMZ.
Why TMZ is in the middle of this?
Third letter. Please explain.
Why are they in the middle?
About 90 minutes ago.
So an hour and a half ago, we got kind of a bizarre letter, an email from somebody who says they know who the kidnapper is and that they have tried reaching Savannah's sister, Annie, and Savannah's brother to no avail. And they said they want 1 Bitcoin sent to a Bitcoin address that we have confirmed is active. It's a real Bitcoin address. As they put it, time is more than relevant. So we have no idea whether this is real or not, but they are making a demand. It's interesting that, Bitcoins fluctuate in value, but it's around $56,000 now, 1 Bitcoin, which is about the amount that the authorities are offering for information leading to the return of Nancy. So I don't know if that aligns, but whoever sent this, and they actually give a name and an email address, but whoever sent this is asking for around that amount via Bitcoin for information that they say leads directly to the person.
Let's take it.
That is a big development. An email this time coming in, not necessarily a note to TMZ about saying someone has information leading to a potential kidnapper, as we're getting more live pictures on the ground. The FBI continuing to canvass the area. We know.
But if they've taken it to the computers, computers could easily be tracked.
Right now, TMZ executive producer Michael.
The IPs and all that stuff could be easily tracked.
Let's talk first about that email TMZ received about potentially trying to have Bitcoin sent to them about information leading to this kidnapper. What do we know right now?
Hey, Andy. Yeah, so it was about 4:54 to be precise this morning when, much like that ransom letter, which we still don't know whether was legitimate or not, but when the ransom letter came in 8 days ago now, so it comes in to a shared email box that a lot of us here, the producers and reporters, have access to. And it essentially says that this person is claiming to have information about the captor or captors. And Andy, they say, this is them claiming here now that they have tried to reach out to Savannah's brother and to her sister via email and text to no avail. And because of that, they said, I'm reaching out to you guys and I am essentially selling the name of, again, the identity of the captor for the cost of 1 Bitcoin is what they said. Now, if you look, a Bitcoin is about $67,000.
Yeah, but they can charge that person with accessory.
So somewhere in that ballpark. And if that amount was to then be paid, presumably they
I have
were
the
saying
name,
they would
but
turn
I'll
over
float to you
the
for 1
identity
Bitcoin.
of that captor.
Yeah, it's interesting because the FBI has an
You're
amount out
stupid.
there already that would lead to the arrest of potentially someone. And this one coming via email. So you almost could respond to this email, unlike that other ransom.
You know the name. You should be giving it out freely.
In that way?
You shouldn't be.
I mean, I think,
I'm gonna sell it to you.
It ultimately
Like
came in
now,
the same
you're putting
way
yourself
for us,
into
Andy, but
this
the
bullshit.
unfortunate reality is that
That was
you
stupid.
basically just write your email address and you can make something up if suppose if you wanted to.
No,
So
they said it was
I mean, yeah,
56,000.
there was contact information. Obviously, that's
For 1
this is for the
Bitcoin.
FBI to figure out how important it is or if
Bitcoin
it's legitimate or
fluctuates
not.
every
So
day.
immediately turned over. That doesn't make sense to me. The part about the reward. And there's a $50,000 reward.
Yeah,
that
National
is being
Enquirer.
offered now. So why would you potentially risk committing a crime to sell
for
the
TMZ,
identity
I'm
of this
like,
person when you could just turn them in,
why are they
earn $50,000,
dealing with
and I'm sure
TMZ?
then
Why
have
do
a
they
bunch
have
of
to
other
put them onto the
opportunities that were there
spotlight?
for
You
you,
know,
aside from just doing the right thing and helping
it
an
feels
84-year-old
weird.
woman who is in a horrible situation right now.
Yeah, we've already seen one individual be arrested for a potential hoax. They were texting someone about that Bitcoin. What is TMZ doing? What are local law enforcement doing to kind of verify the authenticity of it, if you have any kind of protocols?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. I mean, I know when we got the original note last week that was from allegedly the people who have taken Nancy Guthrie, there was a Bitcoin address in there. We verified that this was, in fact, an actual address that could get money sent to it. We constantly kept an eye on that wallet to see if anything was paid. But outside of that, there's really not much we can do as far as confirming the authenticity. You turn it over to the authorities and they take it from there.
Yeah, they've been a while.
We've cooperated with them every step of the way.
been a
If there's
while.
anything that we could do to help them find out who sent these, then we've done it. But yeah, not too much, unfortunately, on from our standpoint.
I don't get
last
my
question
news
before
from
I let you go,
TMZ
Michael,
though.
because this is day number 11 of the search for the 84-year-old
Hell
Nancy
no.
Guthrie. The Guthrie family still
I usually
holds
get
out
it
hope
through
that she will
Fox.
be returned home safely. But within the last 24 hours, there was the FBI surveillance. There was an individual being
Or
detained.
like
There was a
YouTube
black glove
sends me
found. There was
messages.
a TMZ email. Do you feel closer than ever that potentially law enforcement are to cracking this case, to finding someone?
I do. And I think obviously, I mean, this is pretty obvious, but that video, to have an image, to be able to see some features and facial hair, and perhaps you can recognize, what's the backpack, what's the shirt, and these are all potential avenues that investigators can track down leads, and hopefully it brings them to whoever's responsible. The one thing I would say is, that going back to that ransom letter initially, Andy, there was the deadline on Thursday, and then there was a second deadline on Monday. And that second deadline on Monday, if we're to believe that letter is authentic, that second deadline came with the ultimate price to be paid if the money wasn't transferred to them. And I think we obviously haven't seen a proof of life. You pray that Nancy Guthrie is okay.
That is so very true. Obviously, people
Yeah, that's
still
what they
holding out
need.
hope,
Truth
but
for life.
pieces of evidence slowly coming now since that piece of surveillance video was recovered by the FBI, despite she not having that kind of account with Nest. All right, Michael Babcock, I appreciate your time, your insight here on Live Now.
That's crazy, right? That story is just so fucking crazy. Let's keep it moving. Put the sound up. Damn. Damn, that's brutal.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. It is absolutely doomsday for election thieves in Georgia for the 2020 election. The FBI has now released its affidavit that they used as a predicate to raid the election center in the state of Georgia, and it is absolutely and totally devastating. Lib's worst nightmare, observing that at least one file with dates modified in 2024, along with others modified prior to January 11th, 2024. So what they're saying here is that the election officials went into the files and they changed them. They changed the ballots. They miscounted ballots. They uploaded images of ballots that didn't exist. They were short by 17,000 ballots on the official tally. This is completely and totally devastating. Let's read. Last month's FBI agents executed a search warrant in Union City, Georgia, making sharp escalation in scrutiny surrounding Fulton County's handling of the 2020 election. The FBI has now reportedly substantiated major irregularities in vote counting from Fulton County, Georgia during the 2020 election and is investigating whether those errors were deliberate violations of federal law. The affidavit filed by FBI Special Agent Ryan Hughes Evans last month which was unsealed today, lays out 5 categories of confirmed election fraud, mishandling of ballots, raising questions, simmering for over 5 years since Trump and his allies raised questions about the Georgia election. Let's read. According to a report from Just the News, Evans filed the affidavit last month to establish probable cause on the raid. And we've talked about this, to get a judge to say you have probable cause, to get a judge to say, yes, a criminal activity occurred here, is a massive, massive thing in Georgia. I mean, again, this wasn't just a search warrant. This wasn't a subpoena. This was kick the door in and grab everything you can. We think there's a crime that was committed here. So this is now, we're seeing the underlying predicate for that crime. Seized 700 boxes of ballots from an Atlanta area storage warehouse. The investigation stemmed from a referral by Kurt Olson, President Trump's election integrity czar. Evans interviewed roughly a dozen unnamed witnesses about the allegations in the Georgia race, where Joe Biden edged out Trump by less than 12,000 votes in the official result. Some of those allegations have been disproven, while some of those allegations have been substantiated, including some through the admission of Fulton County, Evans wrote. The warrant application is part of the FBI's criminal investigation of improprieties and intentional acts, criminal laws. Fulton County admitted it lacked scanned images of 500,000 ballots counted during the initial count and 500,000 ballots tallied during the state's recount. What? So they don't have the actual ballots themselves. County officials have confirmed that during the recount, some ballots were scanned multiple times. Ballot images obtained through public records request show identical markings appearing in duplicated images. During the risk-limiting audit, hand counters reported vote totals and batches didn't match the actual votes inside of their batches. According to the affidavit, State Performance Review Board, Secretary of State investigation confirmed inaccurate batch tallies. So now those ballots are owned by the FBI, and they'll make the final determination, along with the fake ballots. And we've been told by Rudy Giuliani, for instance, that there was a ballot printing operation on site. I'll play that clip in just a second. There were a matter of pristine ballots. Auditors assessing the risk report, counting supposed ballots that have never been creased or folded, would be required of the ballot mailed to the voter and returned sealed. They said that they were perfect black dots, only votes for Joe Biden, 99% breaking for Joe Biden in these style of like perfect, pristine ballots that were clearly just printed on a printing press on site. The timeline adds another wrinkle. On the deadline to report the election results, Fulton County initially declared a total of 511,000 ballots, 17,000 fewer than the original count. But the next day, that number had jumped to 527,000 ballots, more than Joe Biden's margin of victory. So they can't even get their ballot number right. If these deficiencies were the result of intentional action, it would be a violation of federal law regardless. Many of the claims made in the affidavits were previously vetted by the Georgia State Election Board through litigation. Trump and his lawyers at the time lost their cases to the judges, but now they are looking into the actual ballots themselves. So this would be the first actual independent review of the ballots. Nobody's ever seen the ballots. For years, officials insisted the 2020 process was sound, dismissing conspiracy theories. What remains unclear is if the problems resulted from incompetence or if they were malicious. Look at, they're really changing the data, including last year. Last year, they started changing data, probably assuming that Trump was going to win, right? There it is, folks, the state of Georgia. 2 addresses were used for 9,000 votes cast in the most secure election in history in 2020. 2 addresses, 9,000 votes for these addresses. Jeez. There were many duplicate ballots in Georgia during the 2020 election. People were showing this, how the ballots were absolutely perfectly duplicate, including the way that they were, the bubbles were filled in. You can see it. You've seen, obviously, these ballots, and you can find that the markings perfectly match up ballot to ballot to ballot. This is something that AI obviously can determine, right? There you go. Yep, that's it. Perfect. And President Trump talking about the 2020 election fraud, nationalized voting. We have states that are so crooked. Now you're going to see something in Georgia. The ballots, you will see some interesting things come out, says President Trump. And Donald Trump has, of course, been promising that they caught them. We caught them. We got them red-handed. Look at this. I thought this was a very interesting map. This is the election map. of Dominion voting systems throughout the country. So where are they clustered the most? Look at Georgia. I mean, every swing state, isn't that wild? So it's all the swing states, but then Georgia, look at that, man. They just packed that state, just packed them. Georgia voter election. Watchdog Group says Fulton County has 17,000, mostly Biden votes, that have absolutely no ballots. Entire state will flip to Trump. What happens afterwards here? I don't know exactly. Here it is, Fulton County, full affidavit. It's smoking. And the person who's been retained by the feds is one of the best election lawyers in the world, Clay Partic. He worked in cybersecurity field. Due to his background in voting machine security performance, Partic has often reviewed data related to election questions and voting machines. He's a special government employee, temporary office of the executive branch to review this specific election. The dam is about to burst on election fraud in Georgia. I've said all along, Georgia is the domino that will be the first to fall and is not the last. It's happening. It's happening. It's going to happen, man. Pretty soon, every single fake news outlet will be looking for diversionary stories as we uncover all of the election fraud, says Carrie Lake. And of course, if it isn't voter fraud, what is it exactly? I love this graphic. This graphic's amazing. This is the Biden election. Where the hell did these 20 million votes come from? Where do they come from? I don't care if people are like upset with Trump or whatever. Like, where do they come from? Biden election. I'm sorry, Biden-Obama election, Hillary Clinton election, Kamala Harris election, a perfect through line to the number of Democrat votes, about 65 million. And then Joe Biden up here with 82 million. Where the hell did that come from? FBI has substantiated irregularities in Georgia 2020 vote counts, probing if they were intentional. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Rudy Giuliani telling me that they had ballot printing operation on site right here in a, remember, Rudy was representing the president in all of this. He got arrested for it. Proven right. Here we are.
Would you give us the evidence? I mean, would you elucidate for us? There's a factory that was printing ballots?
That's an allegation. Okay. We've never able to prove that. But that's an allegation we had from 4 or 5 witnesses, and we wanted to get a warrant.
It makes sense.
But do I believe that one is one I probably believe is true. And I also believe that the ballots are phony, because if they weren't phony, they'd have turned them over to us on day one. They wouldn't have fought 20 battles to keep in front of us. They wouldn't have thrown our expert out when he showed up there with a machine that scared the hell out of them. It was a machine that would tell you if the same stationery was used. There was one stationery that was approved as the ballot. This machine could take all the ballots, put them through, and it could spit out the ones that were different stationery. And some of the reasonable people in Georgia agreed to that. And we were all set to do it. And the morning that Pulitzer showed up, the guy who was going to do it, they had the state police there. I think the governor said.
That's crazy. All right, let's keep it moving.
President Trump meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu earlier at the White House to discuss Iran. The president says that Tehran wants a deal very badly, but it's also making it clear that he's ready to use America's military to force one.
We have a massive flotilla right now going over to Iran. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal. I think it'd be foolish if they didn't. We took out their nuclear power last time, and we'll have to see if we take out more this time. I'd rather make a deal. It's got to be a good deal. No nuclear weapons, no missiles, no this, no that. All the different things that you want.
And the president is threatening to order another more pressure to Iran. And it's no mystery that after the operation this summer that took out the nuclear facility, Larry, this regime has been severely weakened. And I think they're acting out of desperation right now. It would be in their interest to do a deal. But a lot of people say you can't trust them to do any kind of credible deal. So I think the president is going this route to explore it, to see what happens. But he's still got his options on the table. And I would just say this. I read an article last night. This was in the New York Post, citing sources on the ground in Iran. And the title is Iranian Regime Executing Wounded Protesters in Hospital Beds as brutal retribution continues every day. So to me, he had kind of drawn a red line on this, saying, if you keep killing people, this is not going to be good for you. And I just wonder where it goes. And Israel is a large part of this.
Yes. Well, I just You know, I listened intently. I asked the question, and you heard part of the answer. And he, you know, he was quite serious. I was looking at his face. I mean, he would rather have a deal, I guess. I just, you know, don't believe anything Iran ever says. And they're killer cutthroats. I mean, the mullahs are awful. The economy's collapsed. The currency's collapsed. But they've killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, your point of this story about the in the hospital, killing people in the hospital, is just sick. We had, you know, General Keane on. Jack Keane said they'd killed 30,000 people.
Yeah.
Which is a lot bigger than
anything that was reported.
That's right,
Yeah.
massively. And I've heard that number, 30,000, from some other national security types. So I don't know. Look, the president knows what he's doing here. He's operating with the best intelligence. He has terrific Joint Chiefs of Staff. He has Rubio. He has Hegseth. It's going to be what it'll be. I just can't imagine ever believing anything they say. That's the thing.
Then where do you go from here? If you're operating from a standpoint in a negotiation, in a deal where you can never believe or trust the other side, what does the end point look like?
Look, my hope is, Taylor, the end point is absolute destruction of anything to do with the current regime. All right. I don't care. They're office buildings, they're Capitol buildings, they're military buildings. It's the only thing that, I mean, this regime has to go. How that happens, I don't know. Who will take over? I mean, I think it has to, I don't think it comes from the Shah's son. I think it has to come from somebody on the ground in Iran, the protesters.
Leadership, you mean.
There's a lot that I don't know about here. And all I know is it's been 50 years. All right. And if you get rid of this regime, you will truly change the Middle East. You may change Europe too, for all I know. But, and of course, these people hate us. They hate America, right? You've been making a deal with people that openly hate America. And of course, they hate Israel, and they hate freedom, and they hate free market capitalism, and they hate their own people. And the Iranian diaspora is huge. They can finance a new regime if they can get the right leadership to get. I don't know.
I think I told you my mom legally immigrated here from Iran before the revolution. We have these discussions all the time. We believe President Trump is the only one that can take this regime down. So I look at the window here and say, you know, either he will do it or maybe they've got another 50 years behind them, because I don't believe anybody else can.
You know, it's yes, I agree. Look, they the whole history, they lie, cheat, and steal. They never let anybody in to authenticate. They never let inspectors in with the nuclear weapons. You know, we had this whole UN thing going on, and that
the UN didn't do shit.
The UN people, believe it or not, turned against Iran. I mean, even European countries have coddled Iran. They're doing business with Iran, and they're not doing business with Israel. That's pathetic right there. But that's Europe. I'm just saying, you can't trust them. You can't believe them. But the president is saying this. Maybe he's stalling for time to build up more resources. To your other point, which I thought was a good point, maybe he's making sure the world knows he did everything he could do. Right.
It does sound a lot like what he was saying about Maduro right before he went and took out Maduro. I mean, he was
it's
doing
gonna be bad
his
for Iran.
deal of switching between threats and
don't want the people to get hurt. You know,
he had a phone conversation
if
with
they're going to
Maduro
go
just
after
about a week
the
before he
leadership.
took him
Don't
out.
go after the
difference,
people.
though, and Jackie, I'm sure you've heard a lot
You
of
know?
stories.
And
from
don't
your
hurt the
mother about
military
this, is
too
that
much,
these people
'cause they're gonna need the military.
have the fanaticism,
There's
the
certain
jihadist
things they need to take
that
out.
you didn't have to worry about in
But
Venezuela.
don't hurt the
Maduro
military
had
too much.
virtually no support. He was just one of the mafia dons and one of the lesser mafia dons. So it was easier, certainly, to take him out. Here you have, I don't know, what it would
the
be, 5
ballistic
to 10%
missiles,
of the
that's something they're
population,
gonna
which
need
is
to take
still
out.
about 5 to 10 million people,
And those
who
are usually in the
fanatically
mountains.
jihadists and who will fight
They're in the
to the
mountains.
death in order to prove their point.
Never really, my mom would say that. I never really understood it until I lived there and I saw that these people really drink the Kool-Aid. I saw it with my own eyes and I said, wow, this is going to be impossible to disband. Brian?
The problem, I'm sorry.
No.
I was just going to add, this is what Jack Keane said. The problem with this story, with the on-the-ground revolution, is they don't have the guns, but the regime has the guns, okay? Just that simple from a great military man. That's a very important point. I don't know how this ends if we don't do it. But I don't know.
Well, I just say this. You got to define what a deal means, because he says he'd rather have a deal than the alternative. But of course, the deal can be y'all need to leave. And you can leave and keep your lives, or you can leave.
Deal.
So I kind of feel like what he's saying is, we'll either remove you or you can remove yourselves, and that would be the deal.
Yes, okay. And there was rumors about the Mullah the head Mullah going to Moscow.
Yeah.
But it's a military state. The military runs that place. I mean, the Mullahs give this patina religious with hardly.
I think the y'all is all of that. I think it's the mullahs and the top generals.
It's the it's the PRG and the secret police and the killing people in the hospitals. And, oh my God! In the name of God, go. That's not smart enough.
Yep.
All right. Well, see, the president always has a method to his madness.
Okay, let's keep it moving.
Okay, ground stop to 0630 for how long?
10 days.
So the airport's totally closed?
Well, chaos overnight after the FAA announced the sudden shutdown of the El Paso International Airport's airspace for 10 days, sending pilots and passengers reeling to figure out what was happening. But then a sudden reversal. The shutdown rolled back, with the transportation secretary saying cartel drones caused that closure. All of that happening as El Paso's mayor says they were left in the dark.
I want to be very, very clear that this should have never happened.
Hey, but it happened for a reason.
Drones used by cartels.
You know what I mean? It's something happened for a reason. It happened for a reason.
The AP is now reporting that a new laser was used by the government to bring down those cartel drones. And last minute concerns over commercial flights in the area sparked the shutdown. Let's get out to News Nation's Ali Bradley, who is live in Texas with the very latest on all of this.
Yeah, hey, Nicole, as you mentioned there, this big closure stemmed from the Pentagon's plans to actually test out a laser that they would be using to take out Mexican drug cartel drones at the southern border or in other places. That's according to the Associated Press. So the Pentagon apparently wanted to test out this laser.
I told you about this a long time ago.
Despite having a meeting slated for later this month to discuss the issue. So here's what happened. Late last night, the Federal Aviation Administration issued a temporary flight restriction that would have halted all flights to and from El Paso International Airport for 10 days. They cited, quote, special security reasons. Now, the order covered commercial, cargo, and general aviation flights and extended over roughly a 10 nautical mile radius around the airport. But just hours later, federal officials reversed course, reopening the airport, lifting that closure early. In a post on X, Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy saying in part, quote, the FAA and DOW acted swiftly to address a cartel drone incursion. The threat has been neutralized and there is no danger to commercial travel in the region. Meantime, the mayor of El Paso says they were not alerted of the flight restrictions that led to the closure of their airport, saying it was all unnecessary. Take a listen.
This should have never happened.
What?
You cannot restrict airspace over a major city without coordinating with the city. That failure to communicate is unacceptable.
That's a waste of fucking time. Are you kidding me? You think of a drone that's intruding, that they have time? Oh my God, we gotta let the mayor know.
We've got to get better.
You're wasting time.
Now, in response to the mayor's criticism, the White House telling News Nation, quote, the Trump administration will always act swiftly to safeguard America's national security. The FAA closed El Paso airspace in response to a cartel drone threat and swiftly lifted the airspace closure after the threat was neutralized. Now, the head of the TSA actually just told Representative Tony Gonzalez during testimony that they were not alerted to the closure. The agency did not know about the airspace closure until after it happened. Now, another interesting piece here, Nicole, Fort Bliss, leaders there also were not alerted of this closure. Of course, Fort Bliss is that military installation that's in the El Paso area. So definitely some wires were not crossed there. Instead, they were left separate and were not informed of what was going on, Nicole.
And Ali, you have been reporting on these drones at the border for years. How sophisticated are they? What more do we know?
Yeah, they're only increasing in their capabilities and their sophistication, and they're actually weaponizing their drones as well. We've been reporting on this for months, for years here at News Nation. So the criminal cartels are actually strapping bombs onto drones, and they use them against rival cartels. This is happening mostly on the other side of the border. The drones they're using, they're even bigger than those little ones that you or I would use as well. At one point, they were using French agricultural drones to carry heavier loads like drugs or, yes, explosives. Now, the cartels are also reportedly using devices to interrupt or scramble devices on the U.S. side that are tracking the criminal organization's movements. And we're not talking about just a handful here. We're talking about a lot of drones, Nicole, because a top general actually testified to the Senate last year that they're seeing 1,000 drone incursions from the Mexican cartels each and every month down here at the southern border. We're not talking about one or two. He said 1,000 a month, Nicole.
All right, Allie Bradley
Dropping
Live
off
for us
the
there
drug.
in
I talked about
Texas.
this
Thank
a
you.
long time ago.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app
That's
right
not
now
new
on
to
your
me.
phone, and you will get.
It's not new to me. I talked about it before. All right, let's keep it moving.
This is a deeply distressing incident where 9 individuals have senselessly lost their lives. Our thoughts are with the families, the loved ones, the first responders in the greater Tumbler Ridge community, and all those impacted by this tragic incident. Upon arrival, there was active gunfire, and as officers approached the school, rounds were fired in their direction. Officers entered the school to locate the threat. Within minutes, an individual confirmed to be the shooter was located deceased with what appeared to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. The suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Tumbler Ridge. 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun, were recovered by responding officers. Determining the origin of these firearms and what role they played in the shootings remains a significant part of the active and ongoing investigation. So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues. Police had attended that residence on multiple occasions over the past several years, dealing with concerns of mental health with respect to our suspect. I can say that on different occasions, a suspect was apprehended for assessment and follow-up. So it is believed the victims of that residence and the suspect are family members.
Can you say what parent, sibling, what relationship that is?
Yes, the female adult victim is the mother of the suspect, and the youth male is the brother of the suspect, or stepbrother. I will say that, again, I'm not trying to be too circumspect, but police have attended that residence in the past, approximately a couple of years ago, where firearms were seized under the criminal code. I can say that at a later point in time, the lawful owner of those firearms petitioned for those firearms to be returned, and they were. I will say this, we identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female, both socially and publicly.
You sure it's a female? Dude had balls. Dude had balls. All right, let's keep it moving. What is this? Oh, we're in the water. Oh shit. Yo, this is a high-speed chase? What the hell is going on?
He's going.
You're not gonna get far. Shut the fuck up. You about to get shot.
Move! Forward! Move forward! Get off the steering wheel! Alright.
Manos para arriba todos. ¿Dónde está? ¿Tiene mamá o papá aquí?
Oh, yeah, handcuff all of them. Yep, can't trust these little lobsters.
Yeah.
You gotta clamp them.
Toss it. No worry about it. ¿Cuántos años tienes, hijo? ¿Mande? 11. He's 11.
Wow, that's crazy. You put an 11-year-old through that trauma?
Sarap tayo, guys. Ito ka na itong ano.
What the hell? Why would you eat that shit? It's gonna kill you.
Hi guys, good morning guys. Morning guys. Wala na po si Mem. Narami karon guys sa Kabakawan guys, mga on me karon Kaya nanginas me guys, wala mi banta guys. Mara may nag-hike ni ogring.
I don't know what you're saying.
Panginhas man nagingo na manginhas mag-auto. Nagsanay man mag-auto guys. Namong kanon guys. Ang among sudan may uga, may saging, may suwaki guys. Ya, kulang mi sa kutsilyo guys. Lumade sila.
What is this? Are we watching like a documentary?
Hilak to si Jok sa sakit.
I wish I understood what they were saying. Yeah, it feels like the Bad Bunny concert again.
Ay, sa ano talaga?
And I speak Spanish. I didn't understand what the fuck Bad Bunny music
Shells
is.
guys, may saang, may bugatan, basta halo-halo na siya guys. Lami na kayo. Kanya, nagsalang daig mantika guys. Karabi ka mo risingon ang among kaldero guys.
The only thing I understand is guys.
Na og saging. Ya di man matanggal. Ya kara guys, butang sarap kayo guys. Ito ka na tong ano.
Another trans shooter.
Pag guys, sarap na kayo guys. Ang niluto guys.
I don't know if he's saying guys. I know she eats some of this and then she dies.
Ayan guys.
Magkakuha ng sili. Nabuyo. Doon sa kabila. Ikaw na muna, mamaya na.
I don't understand what's going on. And then not till later, she dies from it. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Yeah, I don't ride these rides. I never trusted them. I don't like to be put upside down. So, one, this is not the type of ride I will ride. Okay, what happened? Oh no! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! More people! Oh my god! Oh, this is gonna be a lot of people dead. Oh, that's gonna be a lot of people dead.
We don't know.
Oh, and look, the ride is still moving. Look how crazy that is.
Hello, guys. I just.
Nah, I would not get on this shit. Things are screwing. And they were riding it there too. Yeah, is it too much flipping? The right there should stop it, right? But right here, oh look, it is slow mo for me. It did a twirl one, another one. Oh, that's where it broke. Oh shit! Oh my god! Oh my god! And then it just breaks. Oh! Oh, you know it crushed some people there. You know, some people got crushed. Oh my God. This is in India. Is it? I think so. I think it was in India. So, my God, that was crazy. Nope. I don't care. I'm too old as it is. What the fuck am I going to be doing on a fucking any of those rides? You crazy? I got a fucked up back, fucked up neck. Last thing, that's life or death for me. That's like, you want to give me the death sentence? Put me on that ride. And you see how horrible this shit would. No. No, thank you. Let's see here. Let's go ahead. We gotta see. Oh, we got a pretty good let's see, we got good little lineups. I know I'm not gonna make it in 2 hours. I said try to make it in 2 hours. The show's gonna be longer than 2 hours because this is good tonight again, like always. So I want us to get enough input. I hate the way the new YouTube is. It just sucks. I just hate it's so frigidy and it's like sensitive, and especially when you're using it on the computer, it's just ugh. I hate it. Okay, we got a good ending. We got a good middle. Let's see what's this one. We already saw this. Okay. Was this be worth watching? Let me see. Yeah, let's see it. 'Cause it just caught my attention. I think it'll be worth to watch. So let's set this up. I'm gonna bring it back over here.
Millions of pages of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, providing more information on the convicted sex offender's crimes. Among the files, claims bodies are buried near Epstein's Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe County. Tonight, the state land commissioner demanding an investigation.
I'm going to keep asking questions and keep poking around until I get an answer.
Those coming from an anonymous email in 2019 addressed to a local radio host.
Malia Chavez spoke with him and has the details of that email.
Yeah, Doug Shelley, we're also hearing tonight from the Attorney General's office, who says it takes these allegations seriously, but needs more information to do something about it.
I don't trust
Eddie
the
Aragon says it was early in the morning in November 2019 when he got this email from someone claiming they were a former staffer at Zorro Ranch. Writing, "Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex."
I got the email. I was startled.
The emailer says they had 7 sex videos, including some with minors, but never actually sent the footage, asking Aragon for digital currency Bitcoin.
Approximately at that time, Bitcoin was worth about $8,000. They wanted to exchange 1 Bitcoin for the videos that they had in possession.
Aragon says he didn't know what to do with the email, so he sent it to the FBI.
I've since referred to the FBI on a number of other things, and I've never heard back from them on anything.
Fast forward 6 years later, the DOJ released Aragon's email as part of the Epstein files.
Matters. I think that New Mexicans need answers. I think the victims need answers.
That's what prompted New Mexico Public Lands Commissioner Stephanie Garcia Richard to send this letter to the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney's Office Tuesday, asking them to thoroughly investigate this disturbing allegation regarding the referenced burials.
We need to get to the bottom of really what happened in New Mexico.
She says she was horrified to learn in 2019 that our state was still leasing lands around Zorro Ranch to Epstein's company.
I canceled the leases at that time.
A month after Epstein killed himself in jail, the land around the mansion totals around 1,200 acres and hasn't been leased out since.
We're thinking to possibly turn it into a memorial to honor the victims, or as some kind of wildlife sanctuary, perhaps. So that's what we're thinking for that land.
Attorney General Raul Torres' office responding to Garcia Richard hours later with this letter. As we understand it, the allegations appear to be unsubstantiated, it says, going on to say they will work to obtain the original files. Once such information is obtained, our office will review it to determine whether any further action is warranted, and if so, the appropriate next steps.
To my knowledge, no investigation has taken place thus far. It doesn't sound like anything is going to be taking place very soon.
The commissioner says she's ready to offer all state land for investigation, but can't do anything about the ranch since it's privately owned, bought by new owners and renamed. Aaliyah Travis, KUT Action 7 News.
We asked the U.S. Attorney for a comment. They referred us to the FBI, which declined comment.
Oh Lord, let's keep it moving. Let's keep it moving. Liberal Hive Mind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, I've been waiting to record this one. I know a lot of people are jumping trying to be first at the story, but I just wanted to make sure that we had all the facts. And well, in fact, it appears as though the initial assumption that most of us on X and other social media platforms were coming to has now been confirmed. The Tumbler Ridge shooter in BC, Canada has now been confirmed and identified as a trans individual who goes by the name of Jess Strang. That's a 17-year-old who, from what we understand, shot his mother and younger brother at home before making his way to the school where he took many other lives. I believe at this point, 8 have been pronounced dead at the school itself, and many are severely injured and battling for their lives. But as the news was dropping, there was all kinds of confusion because the media tried to suppress this by claiming it was a female in a dress. A female mass shooter, which of course we know is exceedingly odd. It's happened even relatively recently at the Christian school shooting. But again, it's exceedingly rare, almost unbelievably rare. But the first clue is that description that the shooter was a female in a dress. When the hell have you ever heard that kind of a description? That was the first clue, but it wasn't necessarily a smoking gun because technically a female can be in a dress. But then this came out, a local police official there, possibly the police chief, who claimed that the shooter was a, quote, gun person.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the...
A gun person, you say? Using gender-neutral language, it was obvious what was happening. Some more woke censorship, misrepresenting a trans shooter or trying to purposely censor that fact to hide the mental health crisis and the radicalization that is fueling these attacks. They just want to remain woke, continue preaching inclusion, but in the process, they ignore how their woke culture is grooming unstable kids into violence. This continued culture of affirming delusions that's leading to total mental instability, rage, and mass shootings. Well, anyways, the truth can only be suppressed for so long, especially now, with X being a true place of free speech and real independent thought and journalism. Thanks to independent reports online, we've pretty much found everything, including most of the social media traces of this individual. And yeah, I'd say it's certainly confirming a trend now, isn't it? It falls right in line with what you'd expect from a lot of these mass shooters these days. Let me show you guys exactly what was found. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks. So like I said, the shooter has been identified. I don't want to name the person again, first of all, because I don't even think it's the person's real name. If I'm going to report on a case like this, I'd like to stay factual. I'd rather report on the actual legal and biological name of this individual, or what the left refers to as a dead name, and continue to play these stupid games. But anyways, it's now been confirmed that this person is a deeply troubled, gender non-conforming individual. And again, we appear to be seeing the same kind of social media footprint. This individual's social media accounts, most notably on YouTube and Reddit, have now been identified. We got some findings here, some Reddit threads that confirm that this individual was deeply involved in transgender ideology and culture online. We've got one post here on r/rational psychonauts by JesseBoy347. This was written back in 2023. It says, I went crazy and burnt my house down. My second time trying shrooms, but still have a desire to try alternatives. I'm going to keep this brief. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. Got out of the psych ward a month ago, and now I'm here. I'm not schizophrenic. unlikely to be bipolar, diagnosed with ADHD, MDD, ASD, and OCD. I tried shrooms once. It was a small unmeasured dose and it was chill. The second time I tried it, I took 3 grams of blue meanie ground up into some peanut butter and had a complete break from reality and did a lot of irrational things. I felt like I was dreaming. Many consequences ensued. Now thinking about extreme harm reduction measures, considering restraint and low doses of DMT to test the waters and whether I remain safe or not, I feel it is the perfect choice as it doesn't last long. A sitter can for sure watch me if I am unable to escape their sight. Probably won't have the energy to anyways. Then we've got this one. Yo, what's the danger in using 5-MeO DMT alone? Genuinely don't know, not trying to die. I do NDMT frequently, and it seems to be completely safe for me. Then continuing on, I am on sertraline, 280 milligrams SSRI, and on rare occasions take 2 milligrams of risperidone for sleep purposes, antipsychotic. I also smoke a decent bit of weed. I had a complete mental break on 3 grams of shrooms. When this happened, I was on fluoxetine 50 milligrams SSRI and quetiapine. That one's a little bit odd to say, unsure of dosage, not able to have a sitter for every dose of DMT, but I am able to have a sitter occasionally. Would 5-MeO need a sitter? Would it interact differently with meds? Then we have this very odd post. I'm a trans MTF. I'm pre-HRT 15-year-old, and I've been viewing a lot of anime-related content recently. Was never into it before. The characters are always so cute. I don't want to be 2D or anything like the characters themselves, but when it comes to their body shape and stuff, I often find myself comparing their semi-unrealistic yet physically possible body shape, specifically when it comes to height, BMI, and obviously their chesticles. I'm super skinny, so that sometimes makes me feel kind of good, but I'm pre-HRT and my expectations are minimal for chest growth, and I'm 6 foot tall. Why can't I be petite and small? Side note, if you know of anywhere that I should go to get into watching anime, that'd be nice. Never watched it before. OUO, I guess that's some sort of ooh-woo kind of thing, you know, this femboy online culture. And so basically by seeing this online Reddit activity, as well as connecting it to the YouTube account here, that has been confirmed linked to this Reddit account, a girly anime photo with the name that reads Jess Ooh Woo. Basically, to continue on the point, clearly a profile is being painted here, and it seems to match up with all the other cases that we've already covered. Again, heavily involved in this left-wing culture of transgenderism online, possibly being groomed or going down certain, let's call it rabbit holes, unfortunate rabbit holes that exist on the internet. And of course, the individual character profile, a person who seems likely susceptible to this kind of thing, someone who's obviously not mentally stable on antipsychotics and SSRIs, and on top of it, taking psychoactive drugs. It's the same pattern every single time, and this is obviously becoming a major issue. Look at the numbers here. According to recent analysis, trans individuals are 4 times more likely to commit any of these mass shooting attacks than any other group. And that's very obviously why the leftist media, and especially the woke state media in Canada, did their darnest to distract from this individual's identity. The truth is becoming clear. As much as the left wants to point the finger and say the greatest threat when it comes to these terror attacks is the white male, the white Christian male, the stats just don't back that up at all. The truth is, as unfortunate as this is to their political and cultural stance when it comes to trans people, trans individuals now make up the large majority of these indiscriminate, hateful mass casualty attacks. And what we're seeing here is a mental health crisis. You have this online leftist culture that enables this stuff, that has totally normalized this stuff, and mentally unstable people are gravitating towards it. They're being groomed into it. That's obviously the problem, but the left continues to point the finger and say it's gun violence and what we need is gun control. But I don't know, Canada has big time gun control, and look at what happened here. And if you analyze on a per capita basis based on population size, and of course if you omit gang mass shootings, which make up the majority of mass shootings in American statistics, it tracks pretty much 1-to-1. Guns aren't the problem. The availability of guns aren't even the problem. Because if you're not using a gun, you could use a knife, you could use a machete, you could use a vehicle to ram people. No, the issue is not the inanimate object. The issue is a mental health crisis that is being ignored and frankly that is being enabled by left-wing culture. You know, some people might take issue with this statement, but whether it offends you or whether you feel it's extreme, it's too much. In my view, I think it's just simply true. What am I going to not tell the truth? Based on my analysis, based on what we've seen, mentally ill, overprescribed transgender individuals are now the greatest terror threat in the nation. I mean, we have seen so many of these cases. And the reality is the left is making it worse. You know, there's this online culture that we've seen being cultivated online that promotes violence and extremism. These trans militias, the notion of a trans genocide, these left-wing cultural hoaxes that are radicalizing these people into thinking that they're under attack or they need to fight back. It fuels their rage. They feel like it justifies their rage. And it's not just the transgender individuals, but also trans-adjacent people. In the case of Charlie Kirk's murder, for instance, a furry individual who was dating a trans person who was radicalized to the point where he killed Charlie Kirk. Obviously, left-wing rhetoric is not helping. Honestly, I'd even take it to the next level. The entire left-wing approach to transgenderism and gender is totally backwards, and it's fueling a lot of the chaos that we're seeing. You know, this view that affirming a person's gender delusions is the compassionate approach, and that's what needs to be done. In fact, it needs to be legally mandated. It's based on this false science that suggests that affirming people's gender delusions leads to positive outcomes, but it doesn't. We've seen the studies. It doesn't affect suicidal ideation. And also just think of it from this perspective. If you promote and enable a child to change their gender while in school, especially a person that is unstable and unwell, you're basically further ostracizing them from society. That's going to lead to more feelings of discomfort and not fitting in. We're essentially relegating these people to be exiled humans. Well, that dynamic is obviously leading to this turn to rage and violence. It's a massive problem. We're normalizing this stuff and treating it as if society should completely contort itself and totally enable these mental delusions. It makes absolutely no sense. You know, you don't do that with schizophrenia. You don't do that with violent behavior or psychopathic behavior. But for some reason, on the issue of transgenderism and gender confusion, we do. We affirm the mental illness. It's obviously not right, and it should be treated as a mental health crisis. You know, we ought to rethink the entire approach, in my view. Pumping these kids with drugs and hormones, pushing them down the path of life-altering, irreversible body surgeries and body changes, putting them on hormones. What we should be doing is treating the delusion, especially at a young age. And we should be extra careful if the person who's moving towards these cultural fads is autistic, on the spectrum, possibly mentally ill. But instead, we just affirm, and it's clearly not helping. It's not making the situation better. It's not affecting the rates of self-harm. And in many cases, it appears it's leading to issues of real-world harm, mass murder of children, you know? That ought to be pretty freaking alarming. But instead, they want to shove it under the rug. Oh, you know, just another murderous female in a dress. Oh, a gun person. Let's not misgender the individual. The priorities are totally out of whack. And according to me, I mean, clearly we're doing something deeply wrong. These are children that need help. And in some cases, look, I'm just going to say it. These are people that, you know, probably should be institutionalized in some cases. But instead, we're sending them back to school and affirming them and actually making their situations even worse. That's not compassionate. It's left-wing cult behavior run amok. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
All right, so we're going to keep it moving. And now we're going straight to Tyson de la Cruz.
Prosecutors now say this one involves more than $1 million in government welfare, all tied to a Massachusetts restaurant.
America, a Dominican restaurant owner and his Venezuelan accomplice just got busted for stealing $1 million.
The owner of El Primo, 37-year-old Raul Fernandez Vicioso, and 3 others, including 2 Venezuelan nationals, used stolen identification.
They also stole $700,000 in C-19 unemployment funds and used the money to buy a property in the Dominican Republic.
We walked into El Primo restaurant in Leominster looking for answers, but no one was available to take our questions. What's advertised as a home for authentic Dominican dishes, federal officials say was a hub for fraud.
And while Massachusetts prosecutors are finally busting these fraud rings,
close to 2 million people living in Illinois rely on SNAP benefits to help get food on that table, but that number will soon drop as new federal guidelines are set to go into effect today.
But here's what they're not telling you. The verification system is still broken, and criminals know exactly how to exploit them. What is up, guys? Tyson de la Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you how Massachusetts became one of the SNAP fraud capitals of America. Let me break down this restaurant operation because it is a masterclass on how to rob American taxpayers while pretending to run a legitimate business.
Authorities say the lead defendant is Raul Fernandez Vicioso, a naturalized U.S. citizen from the Dominican Republic, who ran a Massachusetts restaurant called El Primo.
Already, the name is perfect here. El Primo means the cousin in Spanish, and this guy treated SNAP fraud like a family business.
Prosecutors say he and 3 co-defendants, 2 here illegally from Venezuela, unlawfully obtained SNAP benefits in what is being called a multi-state fraud operation.
Here's how the scam worked. They bought stolen identities from identity theft rings. Those are places where you can buy these things. They used those identities to file SNAP benefits and pandemic unemployment assistance between 2023 and 2025. They pulled in over $400,000 in EBT cards alone. But here's where the real money came from. Once they had the EBT cards, they went to wholesalers and bought bulk food using the stolen benefits. We're talking about pallets of food, industrial quantities like Costco, Sam's Clubs, and then loaded up their restaurant shelves with that food and sold it to customers for cash. They basically got the food free using stolen SNAP benefits, then sold it at full retail prices and pocketed 100% of the cash.
Use the stolen EBT cards to purchase large quantities of expensive bulk food items at no expense to themselves, but at considerable expense to taxpayers.
Every meal sold at El Primo
That's
was
crazy.
funded by American tax dollars stolen through identity theft and SNAP fraud. This wasn't a restaurant, guys. This was a money laundering operation disguised as a Dominican eatery. Now, let me show you the scale of the identity theft that made this operation possible, because this is where the fraud gets absolutely brazen. Investigators found 117 EBT applications just connected to 2 apartments in Providence, Rhode Island. Think about that. 117 people, 2 apartments. That's not even trying to hide it. That is blatant fraud with zero concern about getting caught. These weren't random identities. They were stolen from real American people whose personal information was being used to file fake benefit applications. But here's the thing. They didn't need to be subtle because nobody was checking. Massachusetts and Rhode Island were processing SNAP applications with zero verification. You could file 117 applications with the same address and nobody would flag anything suspicious. But the fraud didn't stop with SNAP. These same criminals also filed fraudulent pandemic C-19 unemployment claims in at least 5 states using bogus documentation. They collected more than, get this, $700,000 in C-19 funds on top of the SNAP fraud. Speaking of systems that are supposed to help people but end up getting exploited by criminals, my subscribers have been loving Chapter, and the feedback has been incredible. If you're 65 or older dealing with Medicare, you know how confusing it can be. And just like these SNAP fraudsters exploiting a broken system, there are
jumping forward.
Don't let the system take advantage of you. Now back to how they stole $700,000 in C-19 funds.
They purportedly collected more than $700,000 in COVID funds and allegedly even used some of that stolen money to help pay for property in the Dominican Republic.
So the total haul, $400,000 in SNAP benefits plus $700,000 in pandemic unemployment equals $1.1 million stolen from American taxpayers. They used some of that stolen money to help pay for property in the Dominican Republic. They literally bought real estate in another country with money they stole from American welfare programs. Now, let me connect this to another massive SNAP fraud bust in Massachusetts because the pattern is almost identical.
2 Massachusetts store owners have been charged in a $7 million trafficking scheme defrauding the SNAP benefits program. The U.S. Attorney's Office says both these small grocery stores in Mattapan were getting up to $500,000 in SNAP redemptions per month.
For small variety stores, that, my friends, is not normal. That is absolute fraud. Quickly, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, let me tell you how this operation worked. They were exchanging benefits for cash and alcohol. So people would come in with the EBT cards. The store owner would give them cash at a discount, maybe 50 cents on the dollar. The store owners would bill the full amount to SNAP, and they were selling meal packs from nonprofits that were supposed to be sent to charities overseas that were actually never sold in stores. And just like
prosecutors say only about 10% of SNAP transactions were for amounts under $40, while more than 70% of transactions exceeded $95, which is unusual activity for a small variety store.
Normal SNAP purchases are small. We're talking about milk, bread, eggs, not $95 plus transactions over and over again. But here's what makes both cases identical. They were using stolen identities to file fake applications.
Wow.
They were operating out of a small business that nobody was monitoring. They were billing SNAP for services and products that were actually never provided. The restaurant stocked shelves with stolen benefits. The grocery store exchanged benefits for cash. Same scam, different wrapper. This is now, I think, the third video that we've done on SNAP fraud, specifically in Massachusetts. If you want to see the full breakdown of the $7 million grocery store scam we covered about a month ago, you can check it out. I'll place a link for it above or in the description down below, and I'll also put it at the end of this video as well. So check it out. Now, let me show you what's changing with SNAP eligibility, because these new rules sound strict to lazy people, but unfortunately, they don't fix the verification problem that allowed fraud to flourish in the first place.
Among the changes, adults 18 to 64 without dependents under 14 must be working, participating in SNAP employment and training programs, or volunteering for at least 80 hours per month to receive the benefits.
If they don't meet those requirements, they can only get SNAP for 3 months in a 3-year period. But here's the problem, at least in my opinion, these rules don't address identity verification. They don't stop criminals from filing fraudulent applications.
Too.
117
Applications
into
disabled. They
like
cannot
mentioned
fucking
earlier.
work.
They don't prevent stolen identities
what are you
being
gonna make
used
them
to
do?
get EDs. It's going to be a process
them work?
here. They just add requirements for legitimate recipients, while the fraud can still potentially continue, but I think it'll be significantly reduced here. And effective April 1st, some immigrants who previously qualified are no longer eligible for SNAP benefits, which is good. This includes refugees, asylum seekers, certain human trafficking victims, and others. So the federal government is tightening restrictions on legal immigrants who came here the right way, while the verification system that would catch illegal immigrants using stolen identities kind of needs some working on. And listen to how politicians are framing this. Local and state leaders are concerned about the changes.
Access to food is not just about filling a plate. It is not just about calories. It is about fueling our bodies. It is about mental health. It is about preventing chronic health conditions.
Translation, to me, it sounds like they're trying to reframe SNAP as a healthcare program instead of a food assistance program so they can justify permanent benefits. But SNAP was never supposed to be a permanent solution. It is supposed to be temporary assistance while you get back on your feet. Now, let me show you what happens when the federal government actually decides to prosecute fraud instead of enabling it.
As for the U.S. Attorney, she says her office is naming a fraud coordinator for the District of Massachusetts because she believes state officials aren't interested in prosecuting fraud or even beefing up security measures to ensure it doesn't happen in the first place. So, Mark Eady, the feds have to step in, which seems like a running theme.
The reporter nailed it here. Feds have to step in, which seems like a running theme because blue states like Massachusetts won't prosecute fraud. They care more about not criminalizing poverty than protecting taxpayers from getting robbed. And remember, this is now the third major SNAP fraud bust that we covered in Massachusetts alone. The $7 million grocery store scheme, the $1 million restaurant scam, and there are many cases coming down the pipe. This is not an isolated incident. This is systematic here. Raul Fernandez Veseo and his crew are facing multiple federal charges. If and when convicted, they're looking at some serious prison time. But my friends, here is the problem. Every fraud ring the feds bust, there are probably dozens more operating right now because of the previous administration and that they haven't got caught yet. Because the system was designed to make fraud easy and prosecution hard. America, a Massachusetts restaurant owner and his Venezuelan accomplice just got busted for stealing $1 million in SNAP benefits using 117 stolen identities. They used our tax dollars to stock restaurant shelves, then bought a property in the Dominican with the proceeds. Last month, 2 grocery store owners got caught stealing $7 million using the exact same playbook. The pattern is identical, and state officials seemingly look the other way. Meanwhile, new SNAP rules add work requirements for legitimate recipients, but currently do nothing to fix the broken verification system that allow criminals to use fake documents. Massachusetts state officials refuse to prosecute fraud, forcing the U.S. attorney to create a fraud coordinator position because the feds have to step in. That's where we are. Blue states protecting criminals while the federal government cleans up the mess. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
All right, thank you, Tyson. We're going to go straight to the next one. Here we go.
We have traffickers that are putting barely teenage girls out on the streets of Los Angeles to be victimized.
America, while everybody's obsessed over the Epstein files, 600 people just got arrested in California's biggest human trafficking bust in history. 170 victims were rescued from this operation.
Among the victims, teenagers from all over the country, some as young as 13.
It's the 12th year in a row that this task force has been going after human traffickers.
Which means human trafficking in California has been so bad for over a decade that they need an annual statewide crackdown just to make a dent.
We see used condoms.
In the dark of night, cars pull up along Elmwood and the transactions begin.
Maybe 10 at night till sometimes 5 or 6 in the morning.
This is about young girls being sold on American streets while California politicians do absolutely nothing to stop it.
You gotta pick up the condoms.
What is up, guys? Tyson Dela Cruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Let me show you how California has become a human trafficking capital of America while pretending to actually care about victims. Operation Reclaim and Rebuild is a coordinated effort between local, state, and federal law enforcement. The last week of January 2025, they conducted a statewide sweep, and here's what they found. Statewide arrest, over 600 people arrested. Victims rescued, 156 adults and 14 children. LA County specifically, 12 adults and 5 children rescued. The youngest victim, only 13 years old. Multiple firearms seized from trafficking operations.
Human trafficking and child exploitation are devastating crimes that target the most vulnerable amongst us. This operation makes it very clear that California will absolutely not be a refuge to predators.
Sheriff Robert Luna says California will absolutely not be a refuge to PDFs. But here's the problem. This is the 12th consecutive year that they had to do this operation. If California wasn't a quote-unquote refuge for PDFs, why do they need annual statewide crackdowns? Why are they arresting 600 people at a time and it's still happening? The answer here is pretty simple. California policies protect traffickers more than they protect victims. Sanctuary city policies mean illegal immigrants can traffic humans without the fear of deportation. Soft on crime DA means traffickers get slaps on wrists. And progressive politicians care more about criminal justice reform than they do about 13-year-olds being sold on the streets. Now, let me show you where these victims came from, because it's not just a California problem. This is a nationwide trafficking pipeline that funnels vulnerable people into Los Angeles. Listen to where these children are trafficked from.
And these children did not come from one place. They came from Chicago, from Oklahoma, from Missouri, tribal lands in the Muskogee Creek Nation, and from communities right here in the state of California.
Think about that. Traffickers are taking kids from tribal lands, from poor neighborhoods in Chicago, from communities all over the country, and bringing them to California, where they know that they can operate with almost impunity. This isn't random. This is organized. This is a business model. And notice the pattern. A lot of these kids are coming from vulnerable communities, tribal lands where oversight is weak, poor neighborhoods where kids might not have strong family structures, places where people aren't looking out for them. Traffickers target these communities because they know nobody's going to come looking for them. But here's what law enforcement won't tell you. California is the destination for this pipeline because traffickers know the state won't prosecute them aggressively. They know sanctuary sanctuary city policies protect them. They know progressive DAs will offer plea deals. They know they can traffic humans in California with minimal consequences. Now, let me show you how brazen these operations have become, because traffickers aren't hiding in warehouses or industrial areas. They're running brothels out of regular houses in residential neighborhoods where families live. The LA Regional Human Trafficking Task Force investigated a citizen's complaint about a suspected residential brothel in Walnut, California. After months of surveillance and information gathering, they conducted and coordinated multiple location search warrant operations involving multiple law enforcement agencies.
Detectives from the Los Angeles Regional Human Trafficking Task Force investigated a citizen complaint about a suspected residential brothel in the city of Walnut, leading to months of surveillance and information gathering. Law enforcement agencies identified several residential brothels.
They found several residential brothels operating in plain sight, regular neighborhoods, and they arrested 6 traffickers at this location alone. Regular people in the neighborhood knew something was up. They reported it, and only then did law enforcement investigate, which means how many other brothels are operating right now in California neighborhoods that nobody has reported yet. And this, my friends, is where the Larchmont story connects, because what's happening in Walnut, brothels in residential areas, is the same thing happening in Larchmont, except in Larchmont, it's happening on the streets and the police aren't doing anything about it.
That's just from last night.
Oh, sometimes it's worse.
The disgusting wake-up call in the Larchmont neighborhood morning after morning.
We see used condoms with leaking out of them on the street. Sometimes they're covered in blood.
Listen to what this resident has to deal with every single morning. He sees used condoms with liquid leaking out of them on the street. This is a family neighborhood. There's an elementary school nearby where their parents walk their children every morning, and they're stepping over used rubbers because prostitution is happening all night long and the city can't stop it.
10 at night till sometimes 5 or 6 in the morning.
Inside vehicles, on the sidewalk.
Right here, my room is right there.
And sometimes just feet from family homes.
A couple were having sex right here on the bench.
On the bench, right outside your house.
Right outside the house.
And here's what makes this even more infuriating. Neighbors have to put up yard signs warning that surveillance cameras are on, and elected officials are aware of this. They've contacted the police. They've contacted city council, and nothing changes.
Sometimes it's violent. The sex workers and Johns are getting in fights with each other. They're screaming at each other. They're getting physical with each other.
Business owners are begging for help. One said the mayor needs to realize the effect that this is having on local businesses. Other residents described workers and Johns getting in fights. This isn't just prostitution. This is violence happening in residential neighborhoods. Now, let me show you why this keeps happening, because it's not incompetence. Get this, guys. It is policy. California politicians have created an environment where human trafficking and prostitution can flourish while pretending that they actually care about victims.
Council member Hugo Soto Martinez says he has created a multi-agency task force, which includes a partnership with the nonprofit organization Journey Out, which helps victims of sex trafficking. They are going to be patrolling these streets.
Not more police, not aggressive enforcement, a nonprofit that's going to patrol the streets and offer survivor-centered support. Translation, they're not going to arrest anybody. They're going to offer services to sex workers while the prostitution continues, because California politicians care more about not criminalizing sex workers than about families who can't let their children play outside because there's used rubbers everywhere on the sidewalk. And remember what the LA County District Attorney admitted during the trafficking bust press conference.
How embarrassing that I can actually say we have corridors of human sex trafficking throughout Los Angeles County. That Los Angeles County is one of the epicenters of human sex trafficking in the entire nation. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It is nothing less than modern slavery.
The DA himself admits LA is a ship of human trafficking, and his solution asked state leaders to make trafficking a felony for adults as well as minors. But here's the problem. Trafficking of a minor is already a felony. Trafficking of an adult is only a misdemeanor. So you can kidnap a grown woman, force her into prostitution, sell her body against her will, and that's the same level of crime as shoplifting. America, California just arrested 600 people in the state's biggest human trafficking bust. The youngest victim was 13. This is the 12th year in a row that they've done this operation, which means trafficking has been so bad for over a decade that they need annual statewide crackdowns. Meanwhile, families in Larchmont are waking up every morning to used rubbers on the streets. Prostitution happens from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. every night. Sanctuary city policies protect traffickers. Progressive DAs offer plea deals. And neighborhoods become open-air brothels while politicians pretend to care more about victims. This, my friends, is what happens when you elect leaders who prioritize criminals over citizens. 13-year-old girls get sold on American streets. Families can't let their children play outside. And the people responsible for stopping it create nonprofits instead of making arrests. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.
Well, thank you, Tyson de la Cruz. Now we're going to move on to Manatee King.
I wrote 25 lines of code that can probably unredact all of the Epstein files in less than 30 seconds. Really not that crazy. All it does is take a PDF and turns it into a Microsoft Word doc, because the Microsoft Word doc just completely removes all this black line right here. So took 0.2 seconds to do 2 documents. Before I end the video, I would just like to mention that I am not suicidal. I am a great swimmer, and I look forward to living my life well into my 80s.
Well, there you have it, folks. I don't know how to get in contact with him or how to do it, or maybe you know how to do it. I'm not telling you to do it. But if it's that simple, I mean, we are talking about the most depraved things we have ever seen. Well, most people have ever seen. If you know about Pizzagate, which I will be investigating on this channel, combing back through all of that, because conveniently, all of the lawmakers and the media that said it was debunked and it never happened and everyone who brought it up is crazy. Well, isn't it something now that now they want to believe in it all, but they're barely talking about it, guys? They're even suppressing videos on TikTok. It's like, have you noticed that the news cycle just keeps cycling over and over and over? But this is not something we need to be moving on from, that we're not going to move on from. I'm not going to move on from it. Okay, because this is the most disgusting thing that we've had go mainstream, widely known worldwide, that our governments and elites are doing, literally eating babies. But speaking of this and the media being complicit, let's talk about Piers Morgan, because he got called out on his own show for being in the Epstein files, and he's pretending like he has absolutely no idea what anyone's talking about. Sure.
Being in my position, I have been in a position where I have been able to be vocal, and that means that I've had a lot of people reaching out to me with information. A couple of months ago, I had a British girl reach out to me, and she said that her and her friends met Jeffrey Epstein in Virginia the weekend of March 10th, 2001 at the Dorchester Hotel. Virginia lured them to Jeffrey's hotel. She made the girls lie and say that they were 18 years old. One was 13, one was 14. They actually signed NDAs with Virginia, and David Boies paid them off. Now, they're too scared to come out.
Well, unless you've got evidence for any of that, I'm not going to just allow you to spew any cock and bull conspiracy theory that has come to your mind.
Once David Boies, it might take to the point where he passes away, and then I feel like the floodgates will open, and all.
Well, you know what? David Boies might well sue you. David Boies might well sue you over what you've just said.
Well,
it's a very serious defamation.
In touch with the Metropolitan Police. So what I want to tell you is, I'm very much in touch with the police, literally on WhatsApp, and they know a lot of information that you guys are not privy to. But
do you know what, Victoria? With the greatest respect, I think you talk utter shit.
All right.
And I'm sorry. I've known you a long time. I think you've disappeared down a conspiracy rabbit hole that is frankly.
Well, I've always been right about my conspiracies. You were wrong about COVID, and you were wrong about the vaccine.
You don't give a damn about these girls. You don't give a damn about these victims. You think it's fine to smear all of them. You admit it. You proudly admit it.
Is he on the list?
Why would I feel sorry for people that are liars?
We now know from these documents just how disgusting this scandal is, and yet still you come on shows like this and you're still in total denial for reasons that completely
can we
baffle
talk
me.
about the quality of girls? So Anushka Georgia as an example. You know what she did? Like, this is the caliber of person we're talking about. Anushka Georgia.
Actually, I'm not going to let you smear them. I'm sorry. I'm not.
Is the girl
I'm just not
that
going to let
set
you do
up
it.
Tom Parker.
No, I'm not going to let you do it.
No,
sorry, cut him, Mike. I'm not letting you do it. I'm not letting you do it. Ollie,
Damn. Damn.
I'm sorry. That is actually the wrong clip, guys. I had the wrong clip, but what? This is the most narcissistic gaslighting. I just cannot believe Piers Morgan. What are you? See, this is what happened. Piers Morgan has been one of these people. He's rebranded himself and all of this. No. He is a gatekeeper for the royal family. He's a gatekeeper for all of these elites. He's part of it. He's in the files. But I didn't expect that. He's literally angry. Okay, just the mention of something. I'm not going to let you slander another person. Really? Who are you? You see how it really comes out? This is where you're going to see the wheat from the chaff being separated, and you're going to see who these people are. I'm telling you, anybody who is big, anybody who's in media, anybody who makes millions of dollars, who are on this world stage and doing all of this, whether they're big podcasters, whether they've been on television, media, all of them have been complicit, in my opinion, because they've known about a lot of these things. He's one of the ones, I believe, that denied Pizzagate and everything else. And he is sitting up there offended. Maybe this is why he's offended.
Your file.
You're in what, sorry?
I'm in your Epstein file.
What Epstein file?
Well, you're in it, obviously, because you're not a loser.
Well, we're going to come to that ridiculous statement in a moment, but what are you referring to?
I'm referring to you being in the Epstein files, of course.
Damn.
For what?
Just, being at a drinks party, possibly with Glenn, just talking about you.
Oh, he swallowed. He took a deep swallow.
Yeah, that's not in the files.
It is in the files.
No, that was from her deposition
no, it's
months
not.
ago.
I promise you.
No, it's not in. It's not in the file.
I saw it in the file. I've read your whole file.
You can literally search all 3 million documents in people's names.
He read it.
The
he's
picture you're talking about. The picture.
You're in the Epstein files.
Do it after the show. Do it after the show. The only connection I've ever had to either of them, as I've said many times, is I met Ghislaine Maxwell for 5 minutes at a book launch in New York. She was then asked about that in her lengthy testimony, and she said under oath that was the only time she ever met me. I never met Epstein or anything else.
But just Google yourself in that government website. It'll come up quite a lot.
No, you're talking about other people talking about me. We're talking about the Epstein file dump that came on Friday.
But exactly. So you've come to my very point when I said if you're not mentioned, you're a loser, because people that are mentioned in it might not have even had affiliation with Jeffrey Epstein. They might never have met him. But the fact is, they were mentioned possibly in an email that was sent to him. Hence, they ended up in the Epstein files. Do you get it?
Damn.
Well, I don't quite get the point you're making, but in relation to being a loser if you're not in them, do you understand how crass and stupid that looks to people when you say that?
It basically was meant as if you are a mover, if you were like a mover and a shaker in the like high echelons of society internationally, you were in those files. Hence, everybody from Ben Affleck to Matt Damon to Elsa.
And that's, I get what she's saying here, because if you're just a regular person, a loser as the elite will consider you, well, then you wouldn't be in the files. But anybody who's who in every facet of government, celebrity, all these people are part of this whole thing, this demonic thing. And what he's saying about this, listen, let me tell you something. I'm gonna read this to you. It says Piers Morgan did not only party with Epstein's girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. I don't know if it's Ghislaine or Ghislaine, but I think the S is silent. Before becoming a YouTuber, Piers had a serious career as editor for the Daily Mirror. The Daily Mirror was bought by Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's father. Like, why play coy? Why play stupid? We are talking about, see, they like to play like it's just, this just almost barely legal young women who were, trapped. We are talking about children, babies, breeder farms. They were breeding children at, trying to breed children and clone them from their favorite DNA, from their favorite celebrity. Literally trying to get Britney Spears DNA to breed a baby just so they can abuse it from day one. This is how disgusting they are. They were eating children. Was everyone doing that in the files? No. But I could not imagine having any association with any of this wickedness and sitting up here and getting defensive about anything. But this is how we're in these last days. People are arguing about this depravity. These are the conversations that are going on, hidden by the government. But there's even more. Let me show you this. I have something that is absolutely wild, and this is regarding King Charles. It says King Charles was friends with Jimmy Savile, who sexually abused at least 500 victims through the course of his career. Prince Andrew hung out with Epstein. I'm starting to think the royal family has poor discernment when it comes to choosing friends. No kidding. Did anybody think that the royal family is, nothing to see here, folks? They didn't do anything. They had nothing to do with it. They absolutely just, they're just very confused. They didn't really have any close ties. Really? Well, look at this. Listen to this.
Fascinating stuff. So in your view, there's so much more that could be being written by the press, but which is not being written despite the availability of information. Are you saying they're frightened of being sued? Are they frightened of upsetting people? What's the story?
Because of the scandal?
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of material to go through 3 million pages. I mean, there's a lot of work being done by, in effect, citizen journalists on Substack. There's a lot of stuff in people's podcasts, for example. I had lots of stories about satanic rites and all sorts of things that I was given, and I didn't believe them. I discarded them. But we're now seeing stories of for example, 2 girls who may have been killed in rough sex, buried on a golf course. I understand Surrey police have approached the FBI about a story connected with Prince Andrew. There's bodies being found on royal estates. So this is getting darker and darker, and it seems that what people are telling me may have some truth about it, because there's about 4 or 5 different people.
Wow. Well, I'm literally speechless at this point.
And what I can't understand about this is that there are so many different conspiracy stories, true stories involving the premier family of our land, that actually, what my suspicion is that journalists have become bored by it. It took 4 years of your life to put this book together. And I get the impression that most journalists today are being spoon-fed this stuff and therefore can't be bothered to spend 4 minutes looking at it. Is that your view?
Yes, I'm journalism around, but people are very lazy, and this is true about royal coverage generally. People don't do the legwork. I talked to 300 people, approached 3,000 people, and have, I only used about 1/10 of my material. Poor journalists don't have the time to do this sort of research, but they are being spoon-fed stuff. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff in my book, which still hasn't been covered in the press. Andrew's mistress in Mayfair, the mistress, Sonia Cooling, the Thai that he took on with him to Thailand. So there's lots of stuff that actually is in the public domain and isn't even being covered.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, thank you very much.
It's too boring to cover. This guy thought it was all conspiracy. Do you see these subtle digs? Are you seeing the deception? They're shadow banning the information. The media doesn't seem to care at all. Oh, but they're openly admitted they're bored and it could take down all monarchy. These are disgusting. Are these even people at this point? I mean, completely given over to Satan. They didn't want to believe in all these satanic rituals and all these other things. Right. They just want to report on fluff pieces and what somebody wore to the Royal Garden Party or the Grammys. And that's what they have time for. But they don't have time to comb over babies being eaten. When I tell you we're in the last days, are you seeing how depraved everyone is? They do not care. They are covering for everybody. Nothing matters to them. It has no emotional effect. People are walking around. Some people, they don't even know what's in it. They will deny, people will deny that the things are actually in it. They'll just say that's conspiracy theory as well. You may have experienced that yourself. Maybe you try to talk to people, don't want to hear it. Why is that? Because they are being led away by the great deception.
So if you don't know, yesterday, a group of congressmen and congresswomen were taken into a room and they were given an unredacted copy of the Epstein files to read. And Lauren Boebert is one of them. Ro Khanna is one of them. And Ro Khanna came out of that viewing or whatever the fuck it is. And he was being asked questions. And the one thing he said that is a big deal right now is all over Twitter is he said a full investigation into the Epstein files will bring down the British monarchy. What the fuck?
No one's doing a single thing about it. They're bored of it. Let's move on to the next news cycle. Do you see how this evil was perpetuated? How it's becoming normalized? They want to see the reaction. That's part of releasing it. It's not just to help victims and all of that. This is also a test of our morality to see how far they can go and to just brainwash us and push us to just move on, just live with this knowledge and then just go about our day. Yes, you have to still live. Yeah, you can't think about this 24 hours a day, but to not hold, to have protests about everything else, about ICE, and you're not protesting this, to have celebrities stand up and give these speeches who protesting against the party, if it's a different party, usually the Republican, but they have zero to say about that. But we know why they have nothing to say about it, because they are all demonic, period. This is what the Bible says, that the rulers of this world are principalities, okay? That they are the darkness of the rulers of this world. And I believe this goes so deep, the rabbit trail. Guys, we are going to continue to unpack this in layers and layers. I just brought you a few things today. I'm trying to put together more videos. There's so much that comes out, and I do not want this to lose focus. I want us to continue with this, but understand this is just a small part of what has gone on. But there's so many other deceptions that are taking place right now. So while the mainstream media gets millions of views, they get millions in revenue, what are they doing to independent creators that are calling these things out? Well, they're suppressing them. So guys, if you want
that's the end of it. That's the end of it. All right, this is the last video of the night. So let me just jump over here and watch some Jason A. Last one of the night.
Let me start by asking you, how prevalent is what you're talking about in Hollywood today?
I believe there's a lot of darkness in Hollywood right now, and I believe it's been there for quite some time. And as we've seen with the Harvey Weinstein scandal, it continues to unfold. It's going to continue unraveling. This is just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg. So everything you're seeing is building up to what I believe is going to be a dam breaking open.
But as Lauren said to me the other day, the earth is shaking because every single one of them now is becoming known. And around the world, princes, ambassadors, even prime ministers are being brought down for their participation in this global trafficking ring.
It wasn't about that it wasn't only the trafficking of young girls, as the narrative suggests, but there are code words that suggest Jeffrey Epstein and his associates could maybe even be engaging in some sort of consumption. Is that human consumption? Are there code words? There's a lot of talk of beef jerky. There's a restaurant called The Cannibal where the owner is listed in some of these documents. Now, that isn't a restaurant that is just proclaiming to serve human meat by any means. But some of this just, it seems that there's a lot of conspiracies that make you wonder. And I saw more emails about torture, and these coded conversations still have a very clear topic that torture was big. It was a big driver for them. And these were sick people doing very, very sick things. As you mentioned, there are many women who are involved in this. You have folks that were working directly for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Right. And a lot of these women are the ones that are sending emails saying, here's one 10 years old, 11 years old, 9 years old. And it's just very disturbing to see the women who are involved in this as well.
Yesterday, I spent several hours at the Department of Justice looking through the unredacted files and reading the absolutely horrific and depraved messages that went back and forth between rich and powerful people in every sphere of influence. These people are at the top of governments, academic institutions, billionaires at giant corporations, cabinet secretaries, and the callous depravity of their messages showed that they absolutely believed that they were above the law, above morals, absolutely immune to any societal norms. They joked in these emails about horrific acts with young girls, about creating spaces, entire islands even, where they could do anything they wanted and get away with it because of their wealth, their power, and their connections. This was a massive global trafficking ring.
Newly released documents tonight say President Trump personally warned officials about Jeffrey Epstein decades ago. An FBI interview summary describing how President Trump called the then Palm Beach police chief to tell him, thank goodness you're stopping Jeffrey Epstein. Everyone has known he's been doing this. Adding people in New York knew Epstein was disgusting.
He kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning.
But President Trump said this in 2019.
No, I had no idea. I had no idea.
The former Palm Beach police chief, Michael Ryder, not commenting to NBC News, but telling the Miami Herald the interview with Donald Trump happened in the summer of 2006. According to the document, the president told Ryder he was around Epstein once when teenagers were present, and Mr. Trump said he got the hell out of there, and added about Epstein's convicted co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell, she is evil, and to focus on her.
With thousands of victims that we know of and thousands more that we probably don't. So when DOJ says that there is nothing to investigate, we, the American people, must rise up. We must allow the courage and the determination of the survivors who have spoken out at great risk to themselves to push us to never give up until every single one of these predators and predator protectors is brought to justice. It is the voices of the survivors ringing through in the darkness of all of this horror that has gotten us this far. And in speaking to so many of them myself, I know that this effort is not just for them. They're not doing this just for them. They're doing it for their girls, for their children, for other people who have been affected, to all the survivors of assault everywhere across the world who are watching to see if we can get accountability right here in the United States of America. Many rich and powerful people thought over the decades that they got away with this. They definitely did. You can see it in the emails.
You've just told me that this is still prevalent in Hollywood. So every day you wait, every day you try to raise money, I would imagine you believe that children are being abused by parents in Hollywood.
Absolutely.
So why are you sitting down talking to me? Why aren't you sitting down with the police right now?
I've told the police. In fact, if anybody wants to go back to 1993, when I was interviewed by the Santa Barbara Police Department, I sat there and I gave them the names. They're on record. They have all of this information, but they were scanning Michael Jackson. All they cared about was trying to find something on Michael Jackson.
Who you said, by the way, did not abuse you.
Who Michael was innocent. And that was what the interview was about with the police in 1993. I told them he is not that guy. And they said, well, maybe you just don't understand your friend. And I said, no, I know the difference between pedophile and somebody who's not a pedophile because I've been molested. Here's the names. Go investigate. And let me push this forward. There are thousands of people in Hollywood who have this same information. Why is it all on me? Why is it if I don't release the names in the next 2 months, 6 months, or a year, I'm the bad guy? I'm the victim here. I'm the one who's been abused. I'm the one who's trying to come forward and do something about it.
But
hold on, please. I'm sorry. There are thousands of people out there, Matt, who have this information. Any one of those child actors that went to the teenage soda pop clubs with me when I was a kid know who those people are and the people who ran it. Anybody can go back through history and look at the teen magazines and say, what was the name of that venue they were all promoting and who ran that venue and who endorsed it?
You've said you've had death threats.
Yes.
Because you have this information and have threatened to expose it. Another reason, I think, to go to police, that's a crime to threaten someone's life.
I've gone to the police with that as well.
And what would be wrong with going to the police now again? Didn't work out in Santa Barbara.
There's a statute of limitations, Matt, in the state of California, which protects people. It's not that way in New York. It's that way only where the movie industry is, conveniently enough, in California. That's the seriousness of this. You cannot, because if I were to go to the police, I would be the one who's getting sued. Henceforth, I need a team of lawyers and I need a team of security to be around me at all times to keep me safe so I can get this message done.
Real
I'm not playing around. It's serious stuff. And I vow I will release every single name that I have any knowledge of, period. And nobody's going to stop me this time.
Damn. I look forward to it. It's the awakening. It's the truth has to come out. And if we're in our last days, man, it's one hell of a ride, man. It's like a roller coaster ride. It's like I'm at the top of the mountain. You know, it's like looking downwards and we're just waiting to go down. It's crazy. But a lot of things, and the things it's not, it's just not one island. There's so many islands that this happens on. Like this trafficking is very horrible, very bad. And it happens every freaking day. It does not slow down. I'm telling you, this is what it is. It's just very scary. Very, very scary times. But I'm out of here. I'm done. I said I was going to do 2 hours. I ended up doing 3. It tends to happen that way. But thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. And for those who are rewatching, thank you also. You're very much appreciated. I'm going to get off of here. I've been feeling a lot of pain and aches, and my spine is just not acting right. And it is what it is. So have a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Try to be here tomorrow again around 6:30. Hopefully I'm feeling better. I don't know. Because I've been feeling the weather, and sometimes when little clipper things, little systems come through, dump a little snow, that little bitness, I feel it. I felt it yesterday with the ice. We had like a little ice storm come through, and it dropped about a 1/4 inch of ice. Like in the morning, it was hard to open the fucking car door. You have to go out there with like hot water and put it on the edges to unlock, to be able to fucking open the door. The fucking it had ice. It was like a cocoon. I was like, what the fuck? And you would hit it, it wouldn't break. I was like, oh man, fuck this shit. Got the hot water and like, it worked perfect. But you know, shit, the weather's just been acting a little weird, so we'll see what happens if we'll get more snow. I think the rat predicted early spring. So I hope he's right. I hope the groundhog, I hope I hope he's right. I hope we have an early spring, but that's going to suck for me because that means it's going to be a longer spring. And spring's like, it's not my favorite season. is because of like the rains and it just the transition from winter to spring is very hard on my body. It's much easier from spring to summer and then summer to fall. The transition is easier. I think it's the fall to winter is a little hard, but the spring to summer is a bitch. Well, actually, yeah, no, it's the winter to spring and spring to summer. And winter summer is okay, and then like the summer to fall, that's when I'm okay, But it's just when the temperature changes, and it's always in the fall, dead winter into spring, which we start our temperatures be fluctuating and stuff. So yeah, trying to deal with it. My neck is just acting crazy tonight too. All right, guys, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.